That movie is a shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. It's all theater of the mind. No, it's garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see. Let's do this. Let's do this. Wednesday, August the 17th, 2022, 2:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yesterday was August the 16th, the 45th anniversary of Elvis Presley's death. Hard to believe, 45 years ago yesterday. Keep it going. That one is just not long enough, folks. Just not long enough. How are you doing? It's the middle of the week. The middle of the week. The summer is, we're in the tail end of the summer now. The summer is winding down. Winding down now. How has your summer been? Fall is on the horizon. Fall is on the horizon. Fall is my favorite time of year, not because of Halloween. Halloween could be in April and fall would still be my favorite time of year. I just love the weather in the fall. Really, that's what it is. It has nothing to do with Halloween. Halloween's a nice bonus, but I mean, I got to be honest with you. I don't really do anything for Halloween. I mean, I don't have any kids of my own. I don't live in an area where there's a lot of kids. I used to, and I used to put on like a little Halloween kind of show, whatever, which was a lot of fun, and that sort of took the Halloween edge off. But I'm not one of those people that sits and watches a bunch of horror movies on Halloween. Sometimes I will, depending if there's like, I have, some people over or, whatever the case is. But it's not, I don't, I know that must seem incredibly ironic to a lot of people out there because, we in the horror space, there's this sort of stereotype that it's Halloween all the time. Or when it especially comes time for Halloween, the real Halloween in October, there's probably this vision that you have of everybody in the space just, in the week leading up to Halloween, we're just watching and listen, there are a lot of people that do that for sure. I'm just not one of those people. I don't... it's entirely possible on October the 31st, I could be watching a movie that has nothing to do with horror. Or sometimes I will. It all depends. There are some years where I'm in the mood and I'm taking part in the festivities, and some years where I'm not, depending on what's going on and what's happening. I just wanted to say that autumn, love Halloween, absolutely love Halloween. But fall is my favorite time of year because of the weather, not because of Halloween. And I absolutely love just the cool, crisp autumn weather. It's the kind of weather where you just go out and, you're just in like a hoodie and a pair of jeans or something. And there's that campfire sort of, smell in the air. And it's very cool. It's probably like, I don't know, like, 10 degrees Celsius or something like that. It's just nice. It's nice. And the wind is blowing and the leaves are rustling. Love it. Love it. Love it. And then Halloween's just a bonus. Halloween is just a bonus. But yeah, there's some years where I quote unquote celebrate it. I guess acknowledge it would be the more appropriate word. But I'm 43 now, right? And I have no kids. So, it's not like I'm doing a lot on Halloween. If I had little kids, that would be different, right? Because then you're sort of living vicariously through them and, you're showing them all the horror movies and what Halloween's all about and the trick-or-treating and all that kind of stuff. But for me, there are some years where I watch the original Halloween and maybe I'll watch a couple Halloween movies, like actual Halloween, Michael Myers films. And then some years where I don't. It's kind of funny. Now, when I was a teenager, of course, I was trick-or-treating. And then when I got to about 13, I know there are kids that go trick-or-treating when they're like 17. I think that's fucking dog shit, really. And it pissed me off every time I'd have like a 17-year-old roll up onto my front lawn front lawn dressed in the outfit they just came from high school in. It's like, fuck, dude, you know, what, bro? What, bro? Come on, candy, bro. Trick or treat, bro. It's like, nah, get the fuck out. And I actually have turned people away. Saying, no, if you're not going to put on a costume, listen, you're 17, you shouldn't be fucking trick-or-treating anyway. But if you're going to come up to my door, you're going to put on a fucking costume. I'm not giving you, what, bro, I'm dressed as a football player. No, you are a high school football player. You're not dressed as a football player. Get the fuck out of here. And I actually have turned people away. Yeah, I'm that guy. Totally that guy. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, when I was 13, I felt like I was too old at that point. Like, I think 13 was my last year. When I had 14, I don't know, I just felt like I was too old. So I turned to kind of putting on with Bruce this like haunted house, Michael Myers fog machine lights and stuff and all that kind of stuff. I've told you guys all this before. And that's what I did through the remainder of my teenage years. And I did that a few times as an adult as well. But I was living somewhere else, not living where I am now. Not a lot of kids in the neighborhood where I am at the moment. But yeah, I mean, you know, I love it. I do. But there are some people that just like really acknowledge it like it's a massive holiday for some people. You know, Halloween's not a holiday. I mean, it's a matter of semantics, I guess, but it's not considered a holiday. It's not like you get the day off. You know what I mean? And it's not like Christmas, right? But some people out there, man, go full tilt. They go full tilt. And can you believe that there are some, I haven't seen one here in the GTA yet, the Greater Toronto Area, but can you believe that there are people that there are some, and I got to say, this actually kind of pisses me off. It does. There are people, I shouldn't say people, that Spirit Halloween has opened some stores already. Get the fuck. Listen, Spirit, I think you're a really cool store. 100%. 100%. Come on, we're Halloween. You know, I'm in the biz of Halloween. You're in the biz of Halloween. We're all in the biz of Halloween here. Spirit Halloween, pretty cool store. A little redundant with some of the stuff they have every year, but really cool nonetheless. And every now and then they bring some new shit in. And listen, I visit a Spirit Halloween at least once every October, right? You know, I'm in there kind of just checking out the little doodads and the knickknacks and the trinkets and the mugs and the little, it's cool stuff. It's cool stuff. But what the are you doing opening in August? Get out of here. It's summer, man. It's bad enough that the Christmas stuff goes right onto the shelves November 1st as soon as Halloween's done. What are you doing? Oh God, like how much further are we going to push this back? How much further are we going to push this back? Do you know what I mean? If Spirit, and listen, I know it's not everywhere, okay? Spirit Halloween is here in Canada too, and I haven't seen, there's a few spots, I haven't seen any one, usually they don't open till September here. I haven't seen anything yet, but I'm like, August? Really? Really? Like, stop. And I'm a Halloween guy, but come on, man. Like, what do you, like, you know, you give them a little bit and you get all this, and I'm telling you, what is it going to be 10 years from now? They're going to start opening it up in June? Why not? Why not? Of course, there's some Halloween fans, I'm sure, that would love to have it year round. That'd actually be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool. But you know what I'm talking about, right? God. It's crazy. It's crazy. I love Halloween, though. I love Halloween. Of course I love Halloween. All right, let me see here. There was, now that I've done my Halloween, shouldn't be, listen, I love Halloween, but come on, August? Come on. Jason Voorhees right now is going, hey, I'm not done. It's August, man. People are still camping. There's still camps going on. Hey, I'm not done. Come on, I got to side with Jason here a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Jason, like, I feel for you, man. Like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? You know, just saying. Chad Zorn sends in $9.99, says, what's missing from recent films is a good Loomis character. Somebody separated from the victims who is pursuing Myers. Hawkins could have been that, but they messed it up. Yeah, because we're so used to that, right? You know, Loomis is was always that as I've often said here on the channel, he was always that, that authority figure, somebody who, we look to for the answers, somebody who had the experience. And now that Loomis is no longer there, we have looked to pretty much Laurie for that. Although we were kind of looking to Laurie for that in 18, but not really in Kills because she was, in the hospital. But I agree with you. I think Hawkins, because Will Patton is such a great character actor, and he's very good in these types of roles, the kind of the old weathered sort of, cop kind of guy that's been there and seen shit and, got all the t-shirts to prove it kind of stuff. He's got some gravitas, some. I mean, he's not, not totally, but he's got that. And that's why I think he should have just been the chief of police or, the sheriff. I think he should have been the sheriff. Barker is a useless stooge. I'm talking about the character. It's awful that I have to preface this, but, the internet is the internet. Has nothing to do with him being black, okay? I mean, I think that should go without saying. I don't know why. And believe me, I've had people actually go, is it because... The fuck, dude? Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? Like, seriously, with all due respect, don't come at me with that dog shit, okay? Has nothing to do with that. I'm talking about the character. Omar Dorsey's a great actor. I'm talking about how they've written his character. Can we stay on target, as they say in Star Wars? Let's stay on target here. But I have to preface it because, somebody out there is going to go, it's because he's black. No, you're a fucking idiot. Anyway, so, I know. I'm hot today, folks. I'm hot today. I don't know why. I don't know why. I know it must seem like I'm really irritated today, but that stuff just grinds my gears. You know what I mean? Like, I think, come on, like, seriously, come on. You know what I'm saying? Let's stay focused here. It's too bad they didn't make his character better. You know what I mean? And more, just a better character, a better sheriff. I don't like his character at all. I think he's a useless stooge. So I've always agreed with you that, yes, I think making Hawkins the sheriff, because he has that experience. He was there that night. He remembers it. So he's worked his way up. And now it would make sense that a guy in his position, as old as he is, would probably be the sheriff. And then he would be that one sort of Loomis-ish type character that we're kind of following and looking to for answers and stuff. I agree with that. Totally. Let me see. Okay, got that. I know I'm on fire today. I'm like, look out, folks. Dave's in a bad mood. Look out. I'm actually not in a bad mood. It's just that kind of stuff, and we see that today. You can't say anything without somebody going, oh, is it because, no, nuance, people. Come on, man. No, of course not. Jesus. George Stegall sends in $20. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate that. Says, hi, Dave. Hope you are well. Can I get a but, Dave? Hope you're having a great day. But, Dave! I hope you're having a great day too, my man. And thanks very much for the generous super chats. And I love your little jack-o'-lantern emojis. Pretty cool stuff. Eddie Chase sends in $2. Says, thoughts on Terror Train, the OG and remake coming. I am not a big fan of Terror Train. I don't like Terror Train at all. I mean, it's watchable. You can watch it, but I've never been a fan of that movie. I think it's boring as fuck. I hate to say it. It's got Jamie Lee Curtis. It's even got fucking David Copperfield in it, for God's sakes. I just didn't like the movie. I'm not a big fan of Terror Train. I've tried to watch it. Well, I've watched it a few times, and every time I try to watch it, I'm just like, it's just not one of those movies that just hits me in the right notes. Do you know what I mean? So not really a big fan. And I didn't know that they were doing a remake. I didn't know. Let's hope the remake is better. Arthur Vega sends in a very generous super chat at $20. Thank you, Arthur. And says, hey, Dave, hope you're having a good day. I am. I hope you are too. Random question. Could you see a Muppet-style Halloween movie? Michael, Laurie, Loomis, and puppets would be different. P.S. Love the fall. Yeah, fall rocks, man. I don't think it could be taken seriously. Like, you mean like a spoof, like a funny kind of like... if it was like a Sesame Street skit, or like if the Muppets did, like, you know how they've done like A Christmas Carol and all that kind of stuff. If they did like a Muppets Halloween and there was like this part of it that was kind of like, oh, clearly Kermit is supposed to be Loomis, and I don't know, you know, somebody like, I don't know, Bert, no, that's too Sesame Street. I don't know, Miss Piggy's supposed to be Laurie Strode or I mean, you know, but I don't think you could do it seriously. Like, I don't think, I mean, you're using Muppets here, right? You know what I mean? But I would be down for that. I would totally be down for that. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Matthew Farisi sends in $9.99, says, someone needs to add some cartoon villain music for the man in black on the bus scene. What a ridiculous scene, and one I never thought about. 5 is my least favorite of the franchise. Yeah, Matthew obviously is referring to the video that I posted the other day, talking about the absurdity of the man in black arriving on the bus. Now, to be fair, in that video, I did say that, I mean, even when they, you know, wrote that into the script, and even fans, we probably haven't really thought about it because, you know, because you have to really think about Halloween 6 in addition to Halloween 5 to realize how absurd it is. Without Halloween 6, it's not as absurd because you don't know who he is and you have no context. I mean, you could still think it's a little silly, but because you have no idea who he is and what he's all about and why he's even there, really, it's just some weird guy getting off a bus. And there's a lot of weird people that ride the bus and get off the bus all the time, right? So, but now that we have the context of Halloween 6 and we know who it is and we know who it's supposed to be, it's just extra funny. And you got to go watch my video. It would take me too long to get into it here, but yeah, it dawned on me not too long ago, like last week, that the man in black riding a bus into Haddonfield is actually pretty hilarious and pretty silly. It's the video that I uploaded before this live stream. Go watch it and check it out if you haven't seen it yet. It's really funny when you think about it. Michael Parton sends in $5 and says, thoughts on Silent Night, Deadly Night. I've seen it 15 times and I still hate it to this day. Not only because of how offensive but also how dumb it is. I have seen Silent Night, Deadly Night. I haven't seen it in a while. I have pretty thick skin, so I don't recall it being offensive, at least to me. That doesn't mean that if I were to go back and watch it again, that I might not be able to pick up on certain things. You're like, oh yeah, you know, you can't really do that today, or you can't really say that today. But it's like I can watch Trading Places, which is one of my favorite comedies of all time. I'm not offended by it at all. But of course, there's things towards the end of that movie. I mean, you've got Dan Aykroyd in blackface, you know what I mean? And, but I can still, you know, I can still watch it like I was watching it 20 years ago, but I can acknowledge, oh, wow, can't do that today. Like that wouldn't fly today. So I'd have to go back and watch Silent Night, Deadly Night to understand what you're talking about in terms of being offensive, unless you're just talking about sort of maybe certain words or something. I haven't seen it in a few years. But you know what? I mean, you know, it's a cheesy B-80s slasher movie. That's not quite up, might even be C. It's not quite Friday the 13th B, and Friday the 13th is B campiness too, but Silent Night, Deadly Night is a little more cheesy, I guess. I don't know. I didn't not like it, but I wouldn't say that I'm like a fan of the series or anything like that. And I don't think I've seen the follow-up. I don't know if I've seen part 2. I have seen the first one. And I mean, it's fun. It's, you know, I'd rather watch that than Terror Train. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. Jose Reyes sends in $4.99. Thank you, Jose, and says, afternoon, Dave. In your most recent What If, does Ted Hollister from Halloween 4 get to live or still get... I love it. Or still get to let it up in your vision of H4. Ooh, I'd have to converse with Tony on this, but I'm going to say Hollister lives. Ted Hollister lives. And we could even have a moment where, but maybe we push his death to part 5, maybe. You know what I mean? Maybe we have to push his death to 5 or something like that. That's funny. I love it. I love it. Jonathan Grant sends in £5. It says, "Hi, Dave. Are you looking forward to Cobra Kai season 5? I want to see Mike Barnes tear shit up. Oh yeah, I haven't forgotten. I haven't forgotten. I want to see you moonwalk. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I gotta show you guys that. I watched the trailer to season 5 of Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is absolutely ridiculously absurd, but it's so absurd it's great. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't take itself too seriously. I mean, there's just no way that this level of fighting would ever happen. Like it's clearly choreographed, obviously. You know what I mean? And just all this, like even at the end of season 2 and that epic fight, you know, in the school, it was like, okay, they are like on the verge of jumping the shark, but they make no apologies for it. And it knows exactly what it is. So I think that's why I've been able to enjoy it season after season, because it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's just a lot of fun, and it's really well done and really good characters, good writing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing season 5. I've enjoyed every season so far, so we'll see what's in store and whether or not they, you know, set it up for a season 6. I don't know how much further they can go with this. I have no idea, but it certainly reignited the careers of Ralph Macchio and Zapka there, whatever is it Zapka? Certainly their careers have been reignited, and it's been great for all the young actors as well. Yeah, you know, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. I also saw the trailer for Netflix's Wednesday with Jenna Ortega. Now, I am not a Addams fan. Like I watched the old 60s television show, but I have not seen the 1990s films. I did not see The Addams Family, and I did not see The Addams Family Values. I know that Christina Ricci is very much identified in that role, and I know that those movies were really popular for people who were kids at that time. I get it. I understand it. I have no dog in the fight. I actually am a big Jenna Ortega fan. It's because I see a lot of potential in her. I don't know if you remember, but back in January, I think it was January, when I had never heard of her. I never seen her, never heard of her. And Tony and I did a live watch along of Scream 2022. Neither of us had seen it. We watched it live here on the channel, and it was our first time, and it was my first time ever laying eyes on Jenna Ortega. And I remember saying on that show, this girl's going to be a star. And I said, there's something about her look. There's something about her. There's a presence to her. Now, whether she's going to be an A-list star, I'm not saying that. She's going to end up being like Meryl Streep. That's not what I mean. But she's going to be popular, you know? And so far I was right. And like I said, I had no idea who the hell she was. I had never heard of her before. And I just said this, and I didn't know that she was doing X, and I didn't know that she was, you know, doing Wednesday. And I had no idea. I just said, there's something about this girl that's going to, and lo and behold, over the next, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, I'm hearing about Wednesday. I'm hearing about, X and Scream Part 6 and all that. And at that time, Wednesday obviously was already well into production at that time, if not post-production at that time. But I hadn't heard of it. I had no idea. So I preface my thoughts on the trailer with all of that because I think Jenna Ortega looks fantastic as Wednesday. And I thought the trailer was great. But again, I have no dog in the fight. I have no emotional attachment to Christina Ricci. I like her as an actress. I always have. But I think Jenna Ortega is nailing what Wednesday is. So now, if you are a Christina Ricci diehard fan and you are really pissed off about this, remake or reboot or whatever, then you're probably going to disagree with me. But I thought it looked really cool. And I'm not that big of a Tim Burton fan, but I thought this looked fun. It looked interesting. And I could totally see myself and my girlfriend watching this. We probably will. Look cool. But who knows? It could be dog shit, right? You never know. Eddie Chase sends in $5, says, favorite most tolerable Myers film to watch in the background. Can't pick 78 or H2. Mine is H4. Great start and atmosphere. Loomis great. I would agree with that. Probably H4. Yep. I would say, yeah, I would totally agree. 100%. Halloween 4. Amadusius. Oh, did I say that wrong again? Amadusius? Amadusius? I'm always, again, it's that VO actor in me, right? I'm phonetically sounding out words that could be said a couple different ways. I think I'm in the ballpark. $5 says, hi, Dave. How will your channel change after the Halloween fever ends? Hope you stick around in the horror community because we all love you, man. Well, not everybody. There's a lot of people out there that don't like me, but that's okay. You can't please everybody. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. You know, obviously anything Halloween related, I'll always talk about. I'll continue to do these Q&As. You know, there's obviously with Dylan's New Nightmare shooting in November, that's going to be something I'll be talking about here on the channel. There's a couple of announcements that Bruce and I have coming after August, of course. We're just waiting for the end of August because it's a very busy month. Bruce is getting married at the end of the month, and there's just a lot of stuff happening. So we wanted to kind of wait until all of that, because that takes up a lot of not only actual physical time and planning and going places and all, but a lot of mental and emotional time as well, right? You know, you're planning a wedding, right? So, so we agreed that after the wedding is done, come, September, we'll be able to kind of sort of, focus more on a couple of things that we want to announce, maybe some stuff you guys have been waiting for. And then, like I said, Dylan's New Nightmare as well, which is a big thing. I'll be talking about that on the channel and anything that I want to talk about. I mean, one of the things, obviously I'm a Halloween channel, that's what gets the most views. That's what gets the most sort of people watching. But I like to talk about other things too, as it relates to, the business or voiceover or horror movies or whatever. And so hopefully people will stick around and want to just hang out and shoot the shit or watch whatever video it is I post. But I'm not a movie reviewer, like I've always said. So I won't be. That will still be, I just don't have the time for, I don't have the time for it, and I don't have the interest in doing it. Don't have the interest in reviewing movies, in the ways that a lot of these movie review channels do. So all power to them. They will continue to do their thing. But me, like specifically, do I have a plan? I have no plan. I'm just kind of doing what I've always done here on the channel, which is just kind of, do what I feel like doing. So I don't really know. In regards to, and just because Halloween would be over, as we know it for now, doesn't mean we can't still talk about Halloween. You know what I mean? We can there's still going to be lots to talk about, especially with this new trilogy, so Halloween will endure. North Kansas City Film Company, I think is what it is, sends in $10. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. It says, hi, Dave. I was lucky enough to secure a cameo in the upcoming Dylan's New Nightmare project. Very cool. I'm very eager to see your take on Freddy. Is there anything special you were doing to gear up for the role? Well, I'm wearing a Freddy t-shirt today. No, I don't think there is. For me, like I've always said, and I said on Twitter the other day, I said on Facebook, I said in the community section on YouTube, I've said it here on the channel, my job and any actor's job is to not go out there and do a Robert Englund impression. I'm not even going to try. That's not my job. So if you're expecting just Robert Englund, you're going to be really disappointed. If you're somebody that truly believes that nobody could ever play Freddy except for Robert, and there are people out there that do believe that, then there's nothing I can do that will ever change your mind. Nothing, because your mind is made up. But it should never be an actor's job, whether it's me in this unofficial sequel to New Nightmare, or whether it's somebody who maybe takes on the role in some sort of official capacity. It doesn't matter. It should never be there, unless, of course, they are, for whatever reason, asked by the director and the creators, no, you have to do a Robert Englund impression. Well, I highly doubt that's going to happen. But it should never be an actor's job to do some sort of karaoke quasi-impression of Robert Englund. You're setting yourself up to fail because you're not Robert. I'm not Robert Englund, guys. In case you haven't noticed, I look nothing like him. I sound nothing like him. Okay, I'm 35 years younger than him. No, not quite. 10, 20, 30. Well, almost, maybe 30. He's 74, 5, something like that. I'm 43, so 32 years. I'm 30 years younger than him for all intents and purposes. I'm not him. I'm not Robert Englund. So you're not going to get Robert Englund. But what you are going to get is me, who steps into the role and does his best to bring the nuances and idiosyncrasies. Idiosyncrasies just essentially means, characteristics, mannerisms, certain things about the character or whoever you're talking about, to bring those nuances and idiosyncrasies to life. To bring those nuances and idiosyncrasies that Robert created for Freddy, to bring those to life. Very similar is in what the actor did with Han Solo in Solo, right? In my opinion, I have no trouble believing he's a young Han. Does it help that he looks like him? Sure. But he was able to bring those idiosyncrasies and nuances and mannerisms to the role where you go, yeah, I totally buy that that's a young Han, or what James Jude Courtney is doing with Michael Myers, right? Granted, it's not a speaking role, so that eliminates 50% of your problem right there, or not problem, but 50% of the weight. But still, what James did, and he worked very closely with Christopher Nelson to bring those idiosyncrasies and those nuances of what Nick was just essentially doing naturally, but has become so iconic with that first incarnation of the character, is he was able to, do you know what I mean? Same thing here. That's my job as an actor. So that when you look at me, you go, well, obviously it's not Robert, but I totally believe it's Freddy Krueger. And that's what it's about. I have to get you to believe it's Freddy Krueger, not Robert Englund. Now, somebody could say, yeah, but they're kind of two in the same. Oh, fair, and that's a fair point. But there's so much more there than just Robert, right? There's a whole character there. And I want to go back more to the darker Freddy. So I'm not going to be, it's a boy. And don't interpret me, that kind of stuff. It's a boy, ha, ha, and all that, me doing. That's just me messing around here on YouTube. Right? Okay. So when I step into the role, when I get into the makeup and they put those the prosthetic makeup on me, let's not forget, a few years ago, I had my head cast. Nora Hewitt, great special effects makeup artist. Her and her wife, Rachel, are going to be, putting the makeup on me. It's going to take like 3 or 4 hours every day to have this done. When you sort of, I'm going to get lost in that character, and I'm going to see Freddy come to life on the, in the mirror as this is happening, and it's embodying, the physicality and everything that entails. It's not, karaoke Freddy impression on YouTube. It's a much different ball game. And I don't know what I don't know what scene you'll be in, but you may be able to see it, right? If you're in a scene that I'm in, I don't know. The only scene I can think of, yeah, it's possible. I'm just thinking of the script. I don't know, but anyway, that's my job. So I'm not really thinking about it too much, because if I think about it too much, I'm going to overthink and I'm going to overplay the character. I'm just sort of, I've looked at the script. I know what's there. I don't have my lines memorized yet, but I know it's there because it's still early. It's still, a couple of months away. I want to be able to just kind of get that sense of it. I'm thinking about it. I've begun the process of thinking about it, but I don't want to think about it too much, because then I'm going to overthink it and I'm going to overplay it. And this is just based on, look, I have 20 years of experience acting, and I started as an on-camera actor. And I was doing commercials and docudramas, and then I fell into the voiceover side of things. And although voice acting is not on-camera acting, It's still acting. And so I have a diploma in acting, and I was formally trained. And so I just bring those skills and those things that I remember and the experience that I have, voiceover or not, to the role. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think you guys, for all of you that, and I'm not saying there are, but for all of you that maybe, or you think you're going to get, this Freddie on, YouTube, Davis Freddie, No, trust me, you ain't seen or heard anything yet. You have not seen or heard anything yet. Trust me. Wait till you see me in the makeup. You just, like, this is not and not that there's anything wrong with it, the silicone masks, right? They're amazing. But that's not what this is. This is full-on Elm Street Robert Englund makeup. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not going to tell you what it's going to look like. I'm just saying the process. Like, we're going all out. It's going to be pretty awesome. So, anyways, hopefully that answers your question in my roundabout Dave McRae way. Thanks for the super chat, man. And can't wait to see you on set if I get a chance to see you. Kevin Spear sends in $4.99, says, Dave, thanks for a great 5 years. Here's to another 5 more. Cheers. And there's $5 essentially. Yes, 5 more years, maybe even longer. Who knows? Zabka, thank you, Cody. Appreciate that. Simon Mills sends in £10. It says, hi, Dave. An idea here. Wouldn't it have been better in Halloween 18 if Michael did disappear in 78? An urban legend builds up about him. Makes more sense with JLC being terrified of him coming back. Yeah, it's sort of a catch-22 because when it comes to this kind of thing, when it comes to this kind of thing, Simon, really him going off into the ether really only works if you're never going to make another movie. Because, because Michael Myers isn't Freddy Krueger, he's not a dream demon, right? He's not literally supernatural. Or Jason, who by part 6 is literally supernatural. You could even probably say earlier. Michael has always been that question mark, right? He is a human being, but with a supernatural edge. And in that first movie, which is what 18 is a direct sequel to, okay? If you want to put that by the wayside and whatever, that's fine. Because by the time you do get to 5 and 6 and whatever, but when you're making a direct sequel to that first movie, it becomes more difficult to explain, well, where was he? What was he doing? And it looks like in Halloween Ends, there's a 4-year time jump. He's walked off into the ether. It looks like they're going to explain that. I mean, it looks like, based on the teaser, that maybe he's hanging out in the sewers, right? Or maybe he's hanging out underground, right? Or, whatever, because he is still a man. So it's like, now, you could just say, yeah, he just shows up again. Okay, he just shows up again. All right. It depends. It's that fine line that you have to walk. It's I can't say too much. I was going to use It's Me, Billy as an example, but there's things I can't say for obvious reasons. It's just a fine line when you have somebody who actually is a human being. When they just disappear, it almost feels like, from a writing perspective, yes, you could just say he disappeared and he showed up again. But he shows up in what conditions? He shows up, how has he been living? How has he been, because he is still human. So it feels like we're stretching the suspension of disbelief a little too much. Like after 40 years, like he shows up after 4 years is a suspension of, disbelief. He shows up after a year, okay, but 40 years, I just feel that it would have been a little too much. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because like I've always said, like, he's gone at the end of that first movie. It was never to set up a sequel. They ultimately made the creative choice to have him gone. not because they wanted to do a part 2. It was just all about bringing the message of the movie home. You can't kill the boogeyman. You know, that's just all it was, you know, and if you do a part 2, then that's why Carpenter was like, well, I guess I'm going to have it pick up. You know, now originally I think part 2 was going to take place like 10 years later, and Michael was going to show up. I'd be very interested to see how Carpenter was going to write that. And like I said, I mean, you can absolutely play it where he just shows up again. And I think that would have worked better 30 years ago or 40 years ago. I think audiences, if Halloween 2, 81 had been Carpenter's original idea, which was, I think, like 10 years later or 5 years later or 2 years later or something. Anyways, a couple years later at the very least. And Laurie's in like an apartment building now or whatever it is. I know you guys know the idea. It was something like that. I think, and then he just shows up. I think it would have worked better for audiences back then because we weren't scrutinizing everything. Now, because of the internet and, you know, we're doing this on our phones and we're zooming up and we're throwing it into Photoshop and we're brightening images up and we're doing all this kind of stuff. And it just feels that everybody, for whatever reason, needs an explanation for everything. It has to all make sense, has to all be explained. Nothing can be left on the table. You can't have any ambiguity. Everybody needs to be spoon-fed every fucking detail. And that, I think, is in large part just a natural evolution of sort of, the entertainment business and how stories are told, but also because of the ease and access to information that we have now. I think it has, because we have access to so much information at our fingertips, it allows us to now consciously want to know more things and to be more intrigued and to be more curious, which is a good thing. But it also sort of removes a lot of the magic from some of the stuff that you're just not supposed to know. You know, that's just the way it is. It's just cinematic language. It's symbolism. It's just fill in the blank yourself. I don't want to, I need to know everything. So I don't know if something like that would work today. Because audiences are they're just too fucking anal, you know, generally speaking. Audiences are just, they need an explanation for everything. Whereas 40 years ago, we didn't think about it. Nobody thought about it. When Michael was gone at the end of the movie, you know, I'm sure there were some people, but there wasn't this cry out for, I need to know what happened. It wasn't like that. Now, God, you can't just leave it. You know, it's got to be wrapped up in a nice little bow, served to you on a nice little plate with you in a tuxedo sitting there in a nice room with a warm fire. It's like, fuck, God, everybody needs to be coddled, you know? And so, I don't know. I don't know if that would have worked today. So today, I don't know why I said it like that. Today so well. I'm not sure. It's tricky. It's that fine line you got to walk, you know? It's interesting though, man. It's interesting. Jack Ellis sends in $4.99, says, hey Dave, do you think Michael Myers would classify as a serial killer, spree killer, or mass murderer as a matter of semantics? Love the channel. Well, yeah, he's a serial killer for sure. Yeah. And a mass murderer. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. He's killed lots of people. So I would absolutely say so. I think a serial killer is what? 2 or more? 3 or more? Something like that. I think. Cody Snyder sends in $5, says, congrats, Bruce. On his wedding. Yes. His wedding is in a week and a half, August the 27th. He's tying the knot to the lovely and beautiful Shanae. Happy Sanjo sends in $5, says, hypothetical question. Halloween reboot in modern times announced 2 years after ends. What's your thoughts? Halloween reboot in modern times announced 2 years after ends. I think it's too close. I think it's just too close. God. Are we just telling the same story over again? Just said in modern times? Because Halloween 18 and kills and ends are in modern times. So although Halloween 78 is in 78, we will soon have 3 Halloween movies with Michael Myers set in modern times. So I just think it's too soon. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think if we are going to reboot Halloween, whether it's 5 years from now or 10 years from now, I mean, listen, 10 years from now, maybe enough time to reboot it and modern. I don't know. I just think the story's been exhausted to death. You know, we had the 78 version. We have the 07 version. You know, it's like the Batman movies. You know, it's like, you know, like, do we really need Michael's origin story again? You know, I just feel that it's been done. It's been done. And that's why I lean heavily as of right now, unless there could be this new idea that can change. And that doesn't mean that if they were to do what you know, are suggesting, that it wouldn't be fantastic and great, right? It absolutely could be. But do I want it? No, I'm content. I think they should just leave Halloween and Michael Myers alone for now. And I think the idea that I came up with, that Tony and I came up with, you know, for a Halloween film noir, you know, reboot, reimagining set in the 50s, where Loomis is a, you know, Chicago detective and not a psychiatrist, and he comes to Haddonfield from the big city because this little town is a string of murders and they don't know who to. I mean, that might even make a really cool series. Who knows? You know, you're telling the Halloween story again, but you're setting it in the 1950s. You know, if it's a film, you make it. Or even if it was a series, maybe you make it black and white. So you have that film noir, detective horror kind of shit. You know, it's the 50s, it's the nuclear family, it's the rise of rock and roll and Elvis Presley, and it's that last decade before, you know, the Beatles and the sexual revolution and the 60s and Woodstock and, you know, all that kind of shit. And sort of that last innocence kind of thing. I just think it would be a very cool reimagining of the story. But just to make another Halloween movie. So now it's set in modern times. It's 2023. And there's a 6-year-old child who murders his sister on Halloween night, and he gets put away. It's just like, done. Enough. We've seen it already. Let it go. You've told it. I don't know how much better you can tell it. Just let it go. Do something else. If you want to do that, 2 years is way too soon. Way too soon. You got to wait like 15 years, 10 years, 10 years at least. But we'll see what they do. Pumpkinhead sends in $5. Thank you, buddy. He says, hi, Dave. In the past, you mentioned that Halloween 5 destroyed the franchise, but wasn't it H281 by introducing the sister-brother idea? Yes. Well, it depends on what it depends on what you are talking about, right? Halloween 5 destroyed the franchise, right? I'm talking about a franchise. See, one movie does not a franchise make. So when we talk about the original Halloween from 1978 and its original intention was supposed to be a one-off movie, and then you introduce Halloween 2, now you've started the franchise, right? You've started the franchise now, in my opinion, okay? You've started the franchise with Halloween 2. Now, what Halloween 2 does is that it kind of ruins the original intent of the first movie. And there's a lot of things that you'd be like, whatever. But Halloween 2 is, in retrospect, it wasn't nearly as beloved as the first movie when it came out. But in retrospect, it is arguably one of people's most favorite Halloween sequels. So it's a beloved sequel in the franchise. So that's why I say, hey, so it's all right, right? Now we're talking about the franchise here. So, okay, it's all right. And then you have Halloween 4, which most people consider, hey, this is all right. Then you get to Halloween 5. And Halloween 5 is the reason we got the story we got in Halloween 6. And the colossal failure of Halloween 6 is the reason we had H2O. And Halloween Resurrection is the reason we had Halloween H2O. And then Halloween Resurrection, being a colossal failure, is the reason we rebooted the franchise. That's what I mean. If 5 had been a different type of movie, we may not have got the 6 we got. We might have got a better 6. We might have got a worse 6. I don't know. But that's why I always say, from a franchise perspective, 5 was the one that just kind of, because 4 had nothing to do with Thorn. There was no Thorn tattoo. People always like to refer to it as the Thorn trilogy. And I understand why, but part 4 has absolutely and unequivocally nothing to do with Thorn. Dwight H. Little there wasn't any Thorn. That's purely, absolutely 100% a Halloween 5 creation. And so it was Halloween 5 that took the train off the tracks and went way over in this direction. And that's why I often say, and with that came 6, Resurrection, the remake, you know, all that kind of stuff. We may not have had Rob Zombie's films. We may not have had Resurrection or H2O. I know H2O is a beloved sequel from a lot of fans, but I don't particularly like it. You know, so that's why I often say that 5 is the catalyst that sort of kind of spiraled us down this, you know, path of weird and unusual Halloween films. Whereas 4 is pretty linear. 4 is, yeah, The Mask is not very good. Sure. George P. Wilbur and his his shoulder pads, and okay, fine. But Halloween 4 has a lot going for it. You know, it's just 5 just went off there. So that's why I say that. But yes, from a certain point of view, you could absolutely point to Halloween 2, because Halloween 2 is the one that actually takes the point of the first Halloween and destroys it, essentially. And you could say then without Halloween 2, we wouldn't have had Halloween 4. But because Halloween 2 and 4 are beloved and liked, that's why I say that 5 is the one that really kind of takes us off the rails. Hopefully that makes sense. Jonathan Grant sends in £5, says, Dave, my man, have you seen Prey yet? I've seen it 3 times. You will love it. Trust me. It's showing on Disney. Also, do you remember Manimal from the 80s? I do not remember Manimal from the 80s. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I have seen Prey. I talked about it on a live stream last week. I saw it last week or the week before, whenever it came out. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I don't think it's as good as everybody's saying it is. I feel for Prey, although I think I liked Prey better, but I kind of feel for Prey the same way I felt for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I thought Everything Everywhere All at Once was a really good movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was well done. It was different, and it was really good. But I don't think it's the that everybody's saying it is. I was like, oh, it's good. It's fun. Like, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't like blown away by it or anything. Kind of felt the same way about Prey. I think one of the reasons why people are igniting Prey on some sort of or putting Prey on some sort of pedestal is largely because all the Predator movies are dog shit. So the bar is not very high. And when you take Prey and you go back to the roots and you tell a similar story, right, as the first Predator about, it's essentially about even that first film. The irony, as I said on the stream last week or the week before, whatever, is that you have these muscle-bound, baby oiled, rippling biceps and pecs guys, the epitome of testosterone, who are actually the prey. They are the prey. And in any normal circumstance, they would be the predators. I mean, if I met Arnold, Jesse Ventura, and Carl Weathers in an alley, I mean, they'd kick my ass, right? And that's the irony of it, is that you put these big hulking guys into the jungle and they become the prey. And so they've gone back to those roots, and they had to go all the way back to 1710 or whatever it was. And here you have this little, 120-pound soaking wet native girl who is really out of her element. She's very talented. She's very smart, but she is really prey out there. I mean, she's not in any position to be taken, and she uses her intellect and her smart very much like Arnold did. Arnold didn't use his muscles. I mean, he did, obviously. He's a physical guy, but he didn't go up against the Predator and have like a fight with him. He would have got killed. The Predator would have snapped Arnold in two like that. It's nothing. You see the size of the Predator against Arnold? Arnold's a big dude. See the size? Now, what's his face there? He's dead now, but who played him is a big guy. But Arnold didn't use his brawn. I mean, he used his brawn to work his way through the jungle, of course, but it was his intellect and smarts that allowed him to beat the Predator in the end. And it's the same here. And so I think that's why it was so good, is because it went back to what it really is all about. And I thought she was great. She was fantastic in it. And I love her last name. What's Mid Thunder or something is her that's an awesome last name. That is a really cool last name. So I liked it. I thought it was good. Didn't think it was like, whoa. I just think people are losing their minds over it because the bar is so low, and they delivered a really good Predator movie. Okay, great. That's cool. Yep, I liked it. Now they're talking about a sequel, and it's like, why? I mean, we know why, but why? you know, because if you start making Prey sequels now, you're going to want to start opening up, and then all like a ton of tribes are going to be going up against them, or I don't know. I just think that it worked so well because it was small. It was small and it was one-on-one again. You know, that's why it worked, because that it's the message too, right? You know? The classically deceased sends in $5 and says, what is it like going to your first horror? What was it like going to your first horror convention? I've heard rumors of a Halloween 45th anniversary con. Would you go to it if it happens? Well, I've only been to one horror convention in my life. And that was the Halloween 40th anniversary convention in Pasadena in 2018. I loved it. I thought it was great. It was a lot of fun. Met a lot of great people there. Met a lot of great Halloween fans who knew me from the channel, and it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Yes, there is supposed to be I believe there is going to be a 45th Halloween convention. Will probably be in Pasadena again, although I don't know. I know Sean Clark knows a lot about that. He's heavily involved in that. So he'd be the guy to start. He hasn't mentioned anything yet, but we're still, you know, we'd be over a year away, because it would probably happen in, I would imagine, October of next year. So I would look for an announcement on that either maybe this fall or early next year, like maybe the spring or something like that. I'm not sure. Would I go? I would if I could. Yeah. If I was able to go, you know, if my schedule allowed me to go, yeah, I'd love to go. It'd be a lot of fun. They're fun. Kevin L. sends in $4.99, says, in Halloween 78, why did Tommy Lee Wallace play Myers in the closet scene instead of Nick Castle? Well, Tommy Lee Wallace was the production designer, I believe, on the movie, if I'm not mistaken. And he, so the story goes, he just knew for whatever reason where to hit the closet. So it breaks, you know, so you don't hurt yourself. There was a certain spot where he knew where to hit and to punch through, because maybe I don't know, I mean, it seems so silly. Like, he's not a stunt guy. So my understanding is that because he was the production designer, and because he may have just, I don't know if the closet doors were specifically built to have that happen. That might have been the case. Or if they just went and got some closet doors, hooked them up, and, you know, but for whatever reason, the story is he knew where to hit the closet, like the door in the kitchen and things like that. So they felt, you know what, why don't we just get Tommy to play this? Because he knows where to punch, and Nick's not quite sure, you know, Nick might hurt his hands. So we'll just get Tommy to do it. And that's why he did it. I mean, that is the reason that is out there, is that he was the production designer. So he just knew the right spots to hit certain things. And cause he was heavily involved in the creation of that. So they thought, well, why don't you just do it? And so we don't have to, you know, take Nick to the hospital to get a cast put on his hand. You know, that's why. Movie Chat and More Part 2 says, Sackhead Jason or Bandaged H4 Myers? I don't know. I like Sackhead Jason. We never really got a lot with Bandaged Myers. So I'm going to say Bandaged Myers only because we don't really have anything with him other than that one shot. I mean, there's a behind the scenes still of him in the truck where he's just kind of, you know, looking out the window, but that's not in the movie. The only shot of him in the bandages in the movie, I mean, yeah, you kind of see him in the distance in the kitchen, but not really. The only good shot we get of it is when he kills the mechanic who's under the car. So I would say more of that. I think that would have been cool. John Dez sends in $4.99, says, hey Dave, if you had to pick a top 5 Halloween list, what films would they be? Super curious, love your channel. Top 5 Halloween list? You mean like my top 5 Michael Myers movies, or top 5 Halloween movies, like movies that have Halloween in them? My top 5 Halloween movies, I mean, well, it just goes in order. It would probably be 1 being, you know, the best. 1, 2, 4. 1, 2, 4, 3 and then maybe 18. 1, 2, 4, 3, 18. 1, 2, 4, 3, 18. Maybe something like that. Yeah, if that's what you're talking about. Jack Ellis sends in $1.99, says, continue Halloween 3 anthology after ends. Well, I've talked about it here on the channel many times. I don't know what Mustafa Akkad is going to do. Nobody does. The rights go back to him at the end. Blumhouse is done with Halloween as we know it. As of right now, you never know what tomorrow or next month or next year will bring. But as of right now, the rights go back to Mustafa. I don't know what his plans are. Maybe his plans are to just let it rest for a bit, right? Give some time to breathe, give us time to miss it, or whatever the case is. But I've always said that Halloween 3, I think, is a logical choice, whether that is a movie or a series, because it already has a built-in fan base. And people know it. I mean, not everybody knows it, but certainly the horror community does. And it's become sort of a cult film. And I think there's an opportunity where you can capitalize on this sort of new renewed love for Halloween 3. And I would seriously look at that, whether that's a movie, a remake, a sequel, a series. I don't know. I have no idea. But certainly I think it would be, it would have to be in the discussion. It would have to be in the discussion to sort of, and maybe you connect it to the Halloween universe. I'm not saying Silver Shamrock, that Myers Mask is Silver Shamrock. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that maybe it happens in the same universe in like a town 20 miles away or something. You know what I mean? You could do that too. I'd be open to hearing about it anyway. John Dez sends in $4.99 and says, have you seen The Sadness on Shudder? TSL spoke on it. It's pretty gnarly. I have not seen it. No, I've heard it is pretty gnarly. And I did watch the review or the thoughts that the Slaughtered Lamb talked about. I've not seen it. But yeah, I hear it's pretty gnarly. I still got to watch it, dude. I still got to watch it. That's one I got to watch. Chase Jackson sends in $9.99, says, hey Dave, what would you consider to be the happiest moment of your life that comes to mind? The happiest moment of my life. Wow. I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't have any kids. So, I can't say that it's, when my children were born or something. Can't say that. Certainly, the woman I'm with now, I'm very happy to still be with after 11 years. And, I think I know it sounds kind of cliche, but I think any moment that is a good moment for us, that we have some good times together and we laugh and I think any moment that you really have fun with your significant other, is a wonderful, happy time. You know what I mean? Whether you're just sitting there laughing at something or you're out and about and you're having a great day together or, whatever the case is, those are some of the happiest times of my life, is just being with her and enjoying our time together. Because I like to keep sort of my private life private and my public life, YouTube life, whatever, right? But so, and I think with friends too, just laughing. I think laughing and just having good laughs with friends. I can't, and your significant other, I can't think of anything specifically, but those are always some of the best times of my life. It's just stuff that just makes you laugh. Life is so serious, and especially now it's so crazy. But in terms of going beyond that, I'd say my first nomination for a Voice Arts Award was a pretty darn cool thing, to be able to go to Hollywood and Warner Brothers and walk the red carpet and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's really cool to be able to do that. And to be able to do that as a nominee, not just somebody who's just showing up to the award show, but as somebody who's nominated that night, I think is really cool. I've often said that when I got my 4th nomination, which was for Outstanding Body of Work, I was on the red carpet at Warner Brothers, and in front of me was Rosario Dawson, and behind me was Sigourney Weaver. And it's one of those moments where you sort of pinch yourself, and you're like, it's kind of, and I'm there as a nominee, and they were there. I think Sigourney Weaver was getting an Icon Award or something, and Rosario Dawson was getting some humanitarian award or something. Something she had been doing with, was it a documentary she narrated, or it was something like that. But that's, it's those kinds of things but that's very, to be fair, that's also very sort of, icing stuff, right? It's still great. It still makes you happy to be there. But I think the real stuff that matters in life is more of the quieter stuff. The good times you have with your family or your friends, and just laugh, and you're just really enjoying the moment, I would say. But certainly professionally, yeah, my nominations obviously is pretty darn cool. Yeah, I don't know. I got to think more. It's a good question. It's a very good question. Jack Ellis sends in $1.99, says, do you like Halloween 3? I do. I don't like it as much as a lot of people do. But I certainly don't dislike it. I think it's better than Halloween 5. And I would rather watch, I'll be honest with you, I'd probably rather watch that than Halloween H2O or Resurrection. But I don't love it. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think because of its fairly limited budget, and because it was a weird sort of thing to go off from Michael Myers, I think there's an opportunity to really capitalize on the story. I think the story is really cool. And I think if you had a bigger budget, you could really make this very sort of ominous, almost apocalyptic kind of thing with kids and killing kids, and it could make, it might make a great series, to be honest with you. It might serve better as a series. Now that I think about it, just saying that out loud, it might serve better as a series. Maybe not like a series that runs for like 5 or 6 seasons. I mean, maybe it's a miniseries, like, Midnight Mass or something. Like maybe it's like a 6-episode miniseries, and each episode is like an hour long. So you have 6 hours. I mean, maybe it's about this town where these kids, whatever. It's the Season of the Witch story, but there's an opportunity to tell it, to modernize it with modern effects, modern production value, but make it still really about character. Make it about character and give it that breathing room and fleshing out those characters. And you can do that in a 6-episode, 1 hour each, miniseries. I don't think the Season of the Witch story necessarily, from what I know, I don't see it going and it's season 5 of Season of the Witch. I don't know if there's enough there. I don't know if there's enough meat on the bone. But certainly like a mini series of 6 episodes, that might be pretty cool. That might be pretty darn cool. Fast Forwards 289 sends in $9.99, says, what's up, Dave? Like seeing all this great content you keep putting out. Also, have you had a chance to check out Dark Knight of the Scarecrow yet? And if so, what'd you think? I have not had a chance to check it out yet, my man. There's a bunch of movies that I need to check out, and that is still one of them. Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. It's still one I have to check out. I have not been able to check it out yet. So my apologies for that. Let me see if I can get a few non-super chat questions here. Let me see here. Yeah. A Muppet Halloween movie can't be taken seriously, as if after 40 years of numerous awful... It's true. It is true, though, man. It is true. Tom Ungurian says, Dave, DGG working on Hellraiser and 3 Exorcist movies. Radio Silence doing Scream. Who, far as directors, would you like to see get the Friday the 13th when we finally get it? Is David Gordon Green directing the Hellraiser film? Or is he just a producer on it? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's a very good question. I'd have to think about it more. I need to think about it more. I'm not entirely sure who would be a good fit. I got to think about it a bit more. Colin Murdy says Midnight Mass was brilliant. I could see Halloween 3 being a miniseries that would work. I agree, Colin. I do. I think so. Like I said, I don't know if there's enough meat on the bone to make a like a multiple seasons, but certainly in like a 5 or 6 episode miniseries. Yeah, for sure. Season of the Witch, for sure. 100%. 100%. Even if they were half-hour episodes. So instead of it being 6 hours, it's 3 hours. That's still essentially like a 3-hour movie. There's a lot you could do there. Yeah, it would probably have like a Stephen King vibe to it. It's about this town and shit starts to go down and these kids start dying and they don't know why. And they think it might have something to do with these masks. Yeah, totally. A miniseries, Halloween 3, Malik, call me. I'm just saying. Can't copyright ideas though. Like an idea in and of itself, you can't copyright. Micro Style says, do you feel that the original first and second Halloween movies should have been it? I think the original Halloween movie should have been it. Just that first movie. Just one movie. That's it. Done. But yes, Halloween 2, I think was a nice, it's more of a conclusive ending. It's not as ambiguous. So yeah, I would say that ending Halloween 2 with him burning is pretty final. It's pretty conclusive. He's dead. He's burned alive. So yeah, I do. Eddie Chase sends in $10 and says, you're obviously very famous to all us fans on your channel. Love your insight. How would you react to fans who approach you in public? Selfies, autographs, convo. Any place, time not to approach? That's a really good question. Well, like I said, I've spent most of my life in the entertainment business as a professional voice actor. And in voiceover, there's a lot of anonymity that comes with that. And so, I've done everything. I mean, I've done a lot. My voice has been all over the place, not just here in Canada, but in the States and whatnot. But when I started to put my face out there on YouTube, it's not so much here in Canada. I've never been recognized here, but when I look at my analytics also tell me that less than 4% of my viewers are Canadian. Well, that's all of Canada. Well, that figure gets smaller when you factor in Toronto. I mean, what is it here? 1%? So the chances of somebody recognizing me here is very, very, very slim. But ironically, I go to the States and there I was in Los Angeles 3 or 4 years ago for the Halloween convention. Now, at the convention, it makes sense that people are recognizing me because I'm on YouTube and I'm a Halloween guy. So that made sense. But I got recognized walking across a parking lot in Burbank. I was walking to a Wendy's and somebody recognized me. And then I got recognized by a security guard in downtown Los Angeles. And that's a big city. I mean, Los Angeles is the second largest city in the States, the third largest in North America. I mean, millions and millions. I just found that so funny. But you look at my analytics, over 70% of my viewers come from the States. So the probability goes up, right? Still kind of hilarious though in a city that size. But so it's kind of weird, but I'm also used to it to a degree because of who my father was. So I grew up in a media family and my father was recognized all the time. He was on the television, he was on the radio, his picture was in the newspaper. So going to restaurants or out and about, I can't tell you how many times I had to, as a kid, somebody would come up and be like, Earl McRae, how are you, blah, and, so I'm very used to that phenomenon, I guess. But it was kind of strange, having it happen to you, and flattering, really cool. I'm always down. If I look busy, like if I'm having dinner, but I think this is to be said to anybody, if you're having dinner or you're at a restaurant, or I look busy, I look preoccupied, like I'm with, the wife or the this or the that, whatever. Well, probably not, right? You know what I mean? But if I'm just out or I'm just walking around, come up, say hi, shoot the shit, get a selfie, whatever, for sure. But I mean, I just find it funny even being asked that because it's like, I don't have that problem. And I would only have that problem, quote unquote, if I was at a horror or Halloween convention in the States. I've been to Fan Expo here in Toronto, walked around, nobody's recognized. I mean, well, I don't know if anybody's recognized it, but nobody's ever come up to me. I can walk around, excuse me, I can walk around, blend in, no issues, because 3% of 1%, you know what I mean? No issues whatsoever. Nobody knows who I am. But in the States, you know, going to a horror convention or something, yeah, it would be very different. But no, if I'm at a horror convention, come on up, man. I'm there to be talked to. I want to talk to people. I want to meet people, hang out, talk. Yeah, whatever, man, for sure. It's awesome shit. I think that's really cool. That's a funny question. That's one of the things, though, I do like about the voiceover side of the business is your voice is out there all the time. I mean, you've heard me on wherever, but I like that the face doesn't go with it. So there's still a level of anonymity and privacy that comes along with being a voice actor. Not so much the case when you're an on camera or if you're you're very well known or, you know, whatever the case is. So I've always appreciated that about voiceover. But yes, YouTube has definitely made me more recognizable, I guess, in the horror YouTube space, for sure. But yeah, if I don't look busy or preoccupied or whatever, then sure, yeah, come on up, say hi, man, be awesome. Fast Forwards 289 sends in $9.99, says, I started doing automotive how-to work and upgrade videos on my classic car and truck. The car-related channels made me want to do it, and watching you encouraged me to put my face out there. So thanks. Well, awesome, dude. I'll have to check out your channel. That's awesome. Classic cars. Yeah, I have a Challenger, and love it. I've had it for about 3 or 4 years now. And just love it. So it's 2019. It's not a class. I mean, it's a classic. It's a classic car in that sense that I think the first Challenger was 1970, if I'm not mistaken. But it's not a classic version of the Challenger. It's a modern version. But but the point I was trying to make was I respect it. Totally respect the classic cars, dude. That's awesome. I'll have to check out your channel. Good luck with it. Congratulations. And yeah, and don't feel obligated that you always have to put your face out of there. Maybe it's just under certain circumstances, right? Where maybe, you know what, this is more of a thing where I kind of want to put my face out there. Or sometimes, depending on what you're showing or what you're filming, maybe it's just your voice too, right? You know, all depends. Fast Forwards 289 follows up with another $4.99. Says, Dave, here's some cash you can buy and rent Dark Knight of Scarecrow and watch, so you can thank me later. Take care, brother. Well, thank you very much. I won't get that, unfortunately, until YouTube sends that out once. It probably won't be till the 20th of September now, but I will get it. I will get it. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. John Johnson says, Dave, if you're ever in Pasadena, you're welcome to stay with us at our private back house 2 blocks from the Myers house. Well, I appreciate the invite. I appreciate the invite, John. I do, sincerely. I appreciate it. I will let my people know. I'll let my people know. That's really cool, though, that you are that close to the Myers house. Pretty cool. It's just really cool. I mean, just saying. How long was that going to go on for? Mr. Wicked says, how do you think the Halloween Ends will end? How would you like it to end? Thanks in advance. Well, Mr. Wicked, how do I think it's going to end? I think it's going to end very final-like. It will feel definitive. I personally would like it to end on more of a philosophical note. That just simply means more about the state and the nature of evil. I would like Laurie and Michael to die together. Laurie sacrificing herself in some sort of manner to save her family or something to that regard, and she dies with the Shape. That really is what brings Michael down officially, is her dying with him. And, you know, and there's this sort of ends on this note where it's like, oh, wait a minute, is he still, but not like a cheesy cliffhanger, where like his eyes open. No. It's more of a more mature, more of a philosophical kind of ending that leaves the audience going, ooh, I wonder what that means. You know what I mean? And then it ends and that's it, But I think one of them is going to die, and it'll probably be Michael, and Laurie will probably live. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard to say. John Dez, another $4.99, says, I think Leonardo DiCaprio is the greatest actor of our time. Do you agree? Of our time. Now, when you say our time, I don't know how old you are, John, so I don't know. Of our time, you mean like right now? He's definitely up there. He's a terrific talent, a terrific actor, but I mean, are you talking about the modern era sort of like, because there was a Hollywood change sort of in the 70s, and actors like Pacino and De Niro, and directors like Spielberg and Scorsese and, were beginning to come up and all that. And so I'm not sure what you mean by our time, like what time you're referring to. Because if you're 25, I don't know how old you are, but if you're 25, well, then your time is very different from my time. I mean, our times sort of overlap, but there's a bit of an age gap there between us. So my era is a bit different than your era. So I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. But I would, like, for me, even though when I think of the greatest actors of my generation, even though I'm 43, yes, DiCaprio would be one for sure. But I also grew up through the 80s and the 90s. Like, Caprio didn't really become a thing to the late 90s. He was on, yes, it was What's Eating Gilbert Grape. He had his little stint on Growing Pains. Basketball Diaries, I think, was his, if I'm not mistaken. But it was really Titanic in 97 that put him on the map. And then he really became a force to be reckoned with sort of in the early 2000s. So yes, DiCaprio, definitely. I would say that he is one of them for sure. But when I think of like the great actors of our time in terms of the era of what I can remember, I think of Pacino, De Niro, Daniel Day-Lewis. I think of even Tom Hanks. I mean, is a terrific actor. I think of oh God, there's so many. But I yeah. But it depends. But certainly DiCaprio is up there for sure. Yep, for sure. He's definitely one of my favorite working actors today. I really like Leonardo DiCaprio for sure. Jesus Freak Bobby Reeves sends in $1.99, says Dark Knight of the Scarecrow is pretty good. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So I've got to check it out. Fast Forwards 289 sends in $4.99, says real cool. I've always liked the new Challengers. I have a 68 Ford Fairlane 500 fastback and a 1976 Ford truck. I got 111 subs so far. Thanks again, Matt. 111. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. You're working your way up. That's really cool, man. Yeah, the Challengers are really cool. I was debating between a Charger or a Challenger, and I went with the Challenger really just because of the look. I mean, I really wanted the classic sort of that, that classic muscle car look, is why I went with the Challenger, and I love it. And there isn't I never get in my car and think, no, I love it. Every time I get in my car, I'm like, yeah, especially in the summer, for road trips and all that kind of stuff. You're like, yeah, it's got a sunroof and everything. It's great. Will I stick with the Challenger? We'll see. Maybe next car will be a Charger. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll zoom over to Ford and get a Mustang. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm digging the Challenger right now. I could see me having the Challenger for quite a few more years. I'm not Challenger out yet. I'm still digging it. John Des says, I'm 34, so I'm talking 90s to now. I says, oh, okay, I get it. Well, you're not that much younger than me then. That's what, nine years? So, we're in the ballpark of the similar, So 90s, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about that, I mean, I was Like when DiCaprio sprung onto the scene, I was 18. Like, I mean, really sprung onto the scene, right? With Titanic. I was 18, almost 19. So, because it was the end of 97 when Titanic was released. So if I was 19, you would have been 10. So yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And I agree. I think Leonardo DiCaprio is absolutely one of the great actors of this time. For sure. 100%. For sure, dude. But it could also too, like, you know, I mean, I was born in 79, so I was a young boy growing up through the 80s. And like I've often said on the channel, I have older siblings that I think helped me, even though, like, you know, in 1986, I was 7. But because of my older siblings, I had a real good grasp of pop. Like, I have a sister who's 15 years older than me. I have 2 brothers that are 11 and 9 years older than me. So in the mid 80s, my sister was in her 20s. My 2 brothers were like, you know, 16, 17, 18. I mean, they were like teenagers. I had a really good grasp of pop culture in terms of music and movies and television shows. Even though I was only 7, I was watching more teenage stuff, adult stuff at that time. So even though I was only 7 in 86, I probably, like, mentally mature wise, I was like probably 13. Do you know what I mean? I have this real where if I had a sibling my own age, like if I had a sibling who was also 7 or just 1 year older or 1 year younger, it would probably have been a different experience for me. But I was like into Footloose and dancing to the Footloose soundtrack, and I was playing the fucking Footloose on vinyl. And what 7-year-old's doing that? Like, I mean, you know what I mean? So, and that doesn't mean that I wasn't into the, you know, 7-year-old shit too, like the Goonies and, you know, He-Man, all that kind of stuff. But I think having older siblings really helped mature me to the point where even though I was a little boy in the 80s, I was probably mentally almost like a few years older. So when the point I'm trying to make is that when I think of like the great actors of our time, I tend to think of like De Niro, Pacino, and things like that. But you make a great point. I mean, DiCaprio is definitely on the list. And I have to say, Harrison Ford's my favorite actor. But in terms of making like shit right now and is consistent, DiCaprio's up there, man. I fucking love that dude as an actor. I believe him in every role he's in. I believe he is the person in every role that he's in. And if you haven't seen Revolutionary Road with Kate Winslet from 2008, Sam Mendes, director, Michael Shannon is in it too. Hopper from fucking David Harbour is in it. Very young at that point, right? It's a fantastic movie. I love Revolutionary Road. Love that film. Jonathan Grant sends in $10 and says, the reason why the first Halloween is my favorite is because the not knowing why Michael kills. It can be any reason. The mystique and the stalking, even when he's following Tommy, I prefer the old films. Well, Jonathan Grant, thank you for the £10. And I couldn't agree more. It is one of the fundamental reasons why I also appreciate older horror movies and their style of storytelling, more of the theater of the mind, you know. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, it's understandable why that type of storytelling doesn't work so much today with modern audiences. It's not that it doesn't at all. And it always seems to me that when you do have a movie that comes out that does execute in that manner, more of theater of the mind, even if it's just for, you know, the majority of the movie, and then by the third act, there's this big reveal and now things get crazy. Kind of like how I feel about that first Conjuring film. That first Conjuring movie, although they do kind of show some things, you know, in the second act, a large reason why I love that first Conjuring film so much is because it does sort of, there is a slow burn and there is that theater of the mind, and then things get a little crazy towards the end. But anytime, generally speaking, even though today's audiences, yes, seem to need things in their face all the time and they need to peak in like the first 10 minutes of the movie, I've always found that when there is a smaller film that comes along that is more nuanced and more theater of the mind, it generally is received well. You know, it doesn't mean everybody's going to like it, but I find that it generally is received well, which tells me that there is still an appetite for that. And yeah, I agree, dude. I agree. Eric Olmos, is that how you say your last name, buddy? My apologies if I'm saying it wrong, or Olmos, maybe? Says, Dave, what do you think happens to Sheriff Barker in Halloween Ends? Minimal role again? I would say probably. Yeah, I would say that he might not even be in the movie, dude. I mean, it's 4 years later. We don't even know if this movie's taking place in Haddonfield. I would be stunned if Laurie and Allison didn't move out of Haddonfield. Why would you stay? It makes no sense. So I don't even know if Barker's even going to be in this movie. It might even, you might get like, maybe a flashback, you know, and I don't mean a flashback that they've like shot. I mean, just recycled footage from the previous two movies. They might just show you him in a flashback or something like that. Is he listed on the cast? Is he on IMDb at all? I'm not sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's not in there at all. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think he's needed unless he's somehow integral to but he's been such a stooge. That's like a douche and a stooge. He's been such a stooge of a character in the first two movies that I just don't care if he comes back. I have no interest in ever seeing him ever again. So I'm going to say no, unless he's on IMDb, which even then that's not really, 100%. But yeah, I don't care if he comes back. I don't really care. Rick Baker says, hi, Dave. If the studio decides to make H50, what is the likely direction you envision them taking? Reboot or new follow-up to the Halloween 4 with established characters? As much as I think it would be cool, I don't see a situation where Mustafa Akkad, unless I don't think we're ever going to get a situation where Malik Akkad. I've been saying, I don't see a situation where Malik Akkad, for a 50th anniversary or even just in general, suddenly pivots again and decides to make another Halloween sequel to any of the other Halloween films, even Halloween 4. I don't see him doing that. I could see maybe, I don't know. I mean, you never say never. I just don't know if realistically, I don't know if the studio, whoever has the rights at that time, sees this as a viable general movie-going audience. When you pick up immediately, because it's already been, they've already, when they scrapped all the sequels and they did a direct sequel to Halloween, the first movie with Halloween 18, there was still that curve that the studio had to get through. Didn't Laurie die in Resurrection? I don't understand what's going on. They still had to get through that. And they have now. And now I think most people, even general movie-going audiences that have seen the movies, kind of know now, I think, kind of what the thing is. You go and do that, it just confuses everything. And there's an appetite there with Halloween fans. I don't know if there's an appetite there with the general movie-going audience. I really don't. I think it would be cool as a Halloween fan perspective because you have an opportunity to do something, you erase 5 and 6 and, I don't know, Rick. I don't think they would do that. I would, based on how studios usually work in this kind of stuff and how much they want to milk, I could see a reboot. I could see them doing a reboot and just telling the story again. And, just telling the story again. And as Happy Sanjo said earlier in the stream, maybe modernizing it, maybe that's what they do. But I don't know I don't want them to do that. I mean, listen, I'll be there paying for a ticket. I'm a Halloween fan. I'll watch the teaser. I'll talk about it on the channel, yeah. But I just don't care. I just don't care. And it sounds like, when I say it like that, so like, it sounds like I'm being a dick, and I don't mean to be a dick. It sounds like, you're not no, it's because I am happy and content. I've had it all. I've had the bad movies. I've had the good movies. I've had the great movies. There's many different timelines. I'm okay now. I don't need to see this story again. Even modernized. Okay, so now it's 2022 and it's a 6-year-old child. I don't stop. It's done. But does that mean that if they did do that, it wouldn't be great, and it would maybe it'd be great, and they would blow our socks off? We'd be like, wow, what a fucking remake. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Absolutely, that's possible. But at face value, right now, I don't feel I need to see that. And I kind of hope they don't do that. I just hope they go back to what I was talking about earlier. But to your question, what do I think they're going to do? I think you will probably have some sort of 50th anniversary re-release, some sort of 50th anniversary box set, some sort of 50th anniversary celebration. You're obviously going to get all that shit. In terms of rebooting, though, I could see them going like a remake of the film as opposed to a direct sequel to one of the previous Halloween movies. If I had to choose, what do I think they're going to do? Like if somebody said they're definitely going to do something. Did you hear? What? They're going to do something. Yep. What do you think it's going to be? It's either going to be a reboot to tell the story again, or it's going to be a direct sequel to one. I would lean towards a reboot. I would. I just don't know if the studio would take that risk, unless it's a low risk, $5 million, do a direct sequel to Halloween 4, straight to streaming, winds up on Prime or something. I mean, maybe they do that. But I don't know if they would want to do like what they attempted to do with 18. I don't think they're going to ever do again. I think that it is a higher probability you will get the story told again than it is you'll get another direct sequel to one of the previous other sequels. But you never know. You never know. As much as I think a direct sequel to 4 would be cool. I got that one. So I'll make sure I got all the super chats. Pumpkinhead, $5 says, opening scene for Ends. Michael is floating down a river, picks up the blonde mask from Halloween 4 at a store. Ha, joking. Thoughts on the blonde mask? That would be awful. Well, I just think it's so incompetent. What I don't understand, and maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe this is in the book Taking Shape. I don't know. Admittedly, I've yet to read the Taking Shape books. But obviously I've watched the Halloween 4 documentary and I've, all that shit. Unless somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that they just didn't realize, or before they realized it was too late or something, or they needed to get but they brought the wrong mask and they just decided to shoot. That's as much as I like Halloween 4 way more than Halloween 5, that just seems so incompetent to me. Because it's so different. Like it would be one thing if the mask was the same mask that they used throughout Halloween 4. It's just the eye holes were not cut out yet. Because you could see somebody quickly grabbing that mask. You could see somebody quickly grabbing the wrong one. Because everything else about the mask looks the same. The hair is dark. It's painted white. It's clearly been treated, right? It's been treated. So I could see that maybe that one scene where he grabs Loomis and throws him in the school, you're like, oh, his eyes are not cut out. Oh, that, you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, we didn't, But this is a mask that hasn't even been treated. It's a mask that hasn't even been painted. It's a mask that hasn't had its hair dyed. Were its sideburns on still? I can't remember. It's like, how do you make this mistake? I don't understand. Like, what level of craziness was going on set I don't know. It obviously, so the story goes that, it was just by accident. Was this shot by second unit? Was this a second unit shot and they just didn't care, or they didn't think to, I don't know. I just think it's so bad. It's so different, you know, it's so different. And, I almost feel like there's got to be more to the story than, yeah, we just picked up the wrong one. Or, yeah, no, we were waiting. We just grabbed it. It was a mistake. That's it. Like, how do you do that? It doesn't even look remotely the same. You know, how does that, and how do you call it? Like, was Dwight Little directing that shot? Was he looking on the monitors? You've been using this one mask for the whole movie and nobody goes, you know, or somebody did and they went, maybe this is more likely. Fuck it. It's a quick shot. Nobody's going to notice. Maybe it was like that, you know, but I have trouble believing that nobody noticed until it was too late or something, which is always sort of this kind of thing that's out there. But maybe I'm wrong. Is there more to the story? I'll let the chat room sort of chime in on that. Alexis Ryder says, I honestly don't know how they couldn't realize it was the wrong mask. We'll see. We'll see if somebody chimes in. But I do know, like, you know, again, the story is that it was a mistake. It was, oh my God, you know, we didn't know, or, I'm like, how do you not? I don't understand. Again, if it was a mask that just simply didn't have its eyes cut out yet, you could go, hey, you know, it's like when what's his face puts the shotgun through what's her face? Michael puts the shotgun through why am I drawing a blank on her name? But you know what I'm talking about. And I believe is that Morga? I don't think that's Wilbur. When he steps back, I don't think the eyes are cut out quite yet. I don't think they are. At least they're not quite as big as they are earlier. You could look at something like that and go, oh, I guess, you know. But the blonde mask, it's not even painted? I don't know, man. Just weird to me. Weird to me. Dale Fowler sends in $4.99, says, what's up, Dave? I know you get tired of Halloween questions. No, I don't get tired of Halloween questions. I understand. How you feel about the new Insidious coming out next year, I think. Yeah, well, first of all, I'm a big fan of the first one. I saw the first one in the movie theater. That is a great film, made for like $1.5 million. I mean, it was hardly anything. Great theater of the mind, great suspense. It's a great, I really like that movie. I don't think, it tends to get overshadowed by the first Conjuring film, because the first Conjuring movie was sort of a big blockbuster of a horror film, where Insidious was a little more under the radar. I appreciate Insidious Chapter 2. I don't think it's as good as the first one. It's kind of like how I feel about The Conjuring 2. Both of them are James Wan films, so both of them are competently made horror movies. But I think the first one in the series is better. The third Insidious, I was surprised by, but then at the same time, it was directed by Lee Winnell, who directed The Invisible Man, who was James Wan's sort of right-hand man. He obviously played one of the paranormal investigators in the Insidious movies. So it was a competently made, better than it should have been third movie in a franchise. Usually the third movie is in franchises, or, you know, but this was actually pretty good, and it was a pretty decent horror film. Haven't seen the fourth one. I don't know how to feel about this. This is Patrick Wilson's directorial debut, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe not his debut, but he's directing it. I don't know. We'll see. I will always give it a look. I'll always give it a look because it's Insidious, and I really like the Insidious film, the first two in the or the first three, I guess, you know. So I'll give it a look, but I don't know. Cautiously optimistic. Got to look more into that. It's been a while. John Dez sends in $9.99. Thank you, John, and says, I loved the finale of Stranger Things. I even teared up a few times. Do you think it should have ended with that episode? And do you think there will be a fifth? What are your thoughts going forward? Maybe a fifth season? A fifth season, you mean? There is going to be a fifth season. It's already announced. It's already out there. It's coming out. I believe they're writing it now, which means they'll probably move into pre-production late this year, early next year. They'll probably start shooting next spring, probably. It's probably, I see a spring, summer 2024 on season 5. Season 5, of course, is supposed to be the final season. I liked season 4 a lot. I think it could be my second or third favorite season. Season 1 is still my favorite. It's my favorite because I think it is the perfect example of what it was supposed to just be. It was like The Goonies meets Stand By Me meets Stephen King meets Steven Spielberg meets John Carpenter. I mean, that is really, and because they were so young, there was a charm, there was an innocence, there was a naivety to season 1. It was a great mystery, and it was so great. It was such a great story. I think I recently watched season 2 again. I liked it better than I did the first time. And that has nothing to do with episode 7, which is the one where 11 goes off on that excursion. I've always liked that episode personally. And I think every season of Stranger Things is really good. I do, with season 1 being my favorite. But I don't think they've ever been able to capture the real charm and the imagination of that first season. Stranger Things season 4, but it's still great. It's still great. And season 4 was no exception. Obviously it was very, I don't want to say convoluted, but it was very heavy in its storytelling and characters and different plots and episode lengths and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was epic. It was an epic season. But it's time to end it. It's time to end it. I don't want to see these kids, I don't want this to turn into 90210. And these kids they're playing kids that are supposed to be like 16, 15, but they're like 19, 20, and by the time that season 5 gets out there, they'll be like 21, 22, 20. I mean, it's time to let it go. It's time to wrap it up. Maybe season 4 should have been the finale. I don't know. It could have been. If they had structured it differently, season 4 could definitely have been the finale. But it's a great show. It's a great show. Great characters. These kid actors are phenomenal. They're great performers. All of them seem to be able to cry on cue, especially 11, right? But it's a great, even though I think it's lost a little bit of its charm from the first season, it's still a great show. It's still one of my favorite shows on right now. And it's got a lot of rewatch value because of the mystery and of course, being a young kid in the 80s, I revel in the 80s nostalgia. And, so it's great. It's great. But I think if they had structured it a bit differently, yeah, they probably could have wrapped it up in season 4, but season 5 needs to be the end. It needs to be the end. These kids are getting a little old now, and we got to bring this sucker home. And by all accounts, season 5 is going to be the end. So I'm glad to hear that. And I'm looking forward to it. And I have no reason to believe that it's not going to be epic. And I mean, in terms of it being great, solid, really good again. They've been consistent. Even though I think the first season is the best, they've been really consistent all the way through. So that's good. Eric Bischoff, former WCW and WWE president or whatever he was on those two things. Eric Bischoff. $4.99. Hey, Dave, I would love a huge Crystal Lake memory-style documentary for the entire series of Halloween for the 50th anniversary. That would be cool. And, of course, you'd have to talk to Malika Cad about that. But that would be cool. That definitely would be cool. I would be down for that. There is still, to be fair, even though we don't have a Halloween Friday the 3rd, like a Halloween version of that, or even the Nightmare one, what was it called? Never Sleep Again or something, which is like 6 hours long or something. Even though we don't have that, you can find all the information you need to on all the Halloween movies. There's quite a few Halloween documentaries out there. They're maybe not as involved. They're not all put together in one long, pretty package like those two documentaries are, but certainly there is enough out there that you could do it. However, having said that, to do it for a 50th anniversary would be really cool, but I would start doing it now. And I say this with all due respect. It's not a nice thing to think about, but I say it, quite a few of the Halloween alum that are getting up there in age. You know, whether it's your John Carpenter, whether it's your, you know, Nick Castle, whether it's your Dick Warlock, you know, there's a lot of people that are getting up there now, and there's no guarantees. You know, I mean, there's no guarantees. I mean, the 50th anniversary is still 6 years away. So, you know, a lot of these guys will be in their 80s by then. So I think it's important that if I was to do that, I would start doing it now. I would start doing it now, and, you know, to be released, or you don't even have to wait until then if it's ready to go. But certainly I'd be thinking about doing it now, just so we could get as many of the older legacy, legendary alum as we possibly can, you know, for sure. And listen, I mean, we could all go at any time, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? Yeah, I think that would be cool, dude. I think that'd be really cool. Arthur Vega sends in $15. Thank you, buddy. And says, hey, Dave, could you see James Wan directing a Halloween movie? There are certain director choices that James Wan does in his horror movies that would fit right in very well with what I like about the original Halloween. But I think I would want to see James Wan direct a bona fide slasher movie that is theater. Like, I'd want to see him do a theater of the mind slasher movie first. Or I would need to, you know, if I was the head of a studio and we wanted to do that, and James Wan, you know, I would bring Wan in and I would listen to him. First of all, you know, I would ask him, are you interested? Halloween movie, theater of the mind, your James Wan-isms, you know, and I'd want to hear his pitch. I'd want to hear his idea, and see if we mesh and gel. Because there are certain things about how he approaches horror that I really like. I like his use of cinematic language. I like his use of mood and atmosphere, and you know, just sort of, I don't know if he works with the same DP or not, but whoever he's working with on Conjuring, Insidious, Malignant, you know, I really appreciate the cinematography and sort of the stylistic choices in that regard. And so there's a lot of things about it that I like. Some of those things carried over into a Halloween movie I think would work, but we've only really ever seen James Wan tackle the supernatural. Now, of course, there's Saw, which is more slasher, I guess, but Saw is more psychological horror. Of course, he didn't do any of the sequels. He just did that first movie. Saw is, but I like how he handled Saw. You know, I did. I like the way it was shot. I like how he handled it. So, yeah, I'd have to hear from him. I wouldn't just go, let's go after Wan. You know, I would want to sort of hear his ideas, see if he's interested, hear his ideas, see if they gel with mine, and just kind of see what he thinks. Do I think he's capable of delivering a really good Halloween movie? Yeah, I think it's possible. Yes, I do. Because he's very good at some of the key components of the DNA of Halloween, which is mood, atmosphere, suspense, theater of the mind. He's very good at that. Because we've seen that in The Conjuring. We've seen it in Insidious. We've seen a bit of it in Saw. So I think, yeah, you know, yeah, it's always possible. It's always possible, man. Always possible. John Dez sends in $4.99, says, Nick Castle and James Jude aside, who played the shape best in your opinion? I'd probably go Dick Warlock. You know, he has the proper stature, and although there's a couple of creative choices he does with the character that I've never been crazy on, like when he's walking down the steps in the hospital and he's got kind of that Frankenstein don. I've never been really crazy on that, even as a kid. I've always found that a little too stiff. But he's not like that through the entire movie. Like, yes, he is sort of, he's stiffer than Castle, where he's sort of more methodical kind of in his approach. But I have a soft spot for it. I mean, part of it is nostalgia. Part of it is his stature. And I believe it's the same guy because of their, the physicality. I think Dick did a great job. So I would probably say Dick Warlock for sure. Yeah, that's what I would say. All right, how long have we been going here? Whoa, we've been going 1 hour and 54 minutes. Let's see if I can get some non-super chats here. Yes, Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, Tom Morga did use the shotgun in Halloween 4 when he killed Kelly. That's right, Kelly. I always forget it. Kelly. I don't know why I keep forgetting her name's Kelly. And Kelly, not George P. Wilbur, but also he wore the bandage mask. Yes, that is correct. That is correct, Chester. You are correct. It was Tom Morga that was wearing the bandages and stabbed the mechanic, and it was Tom Morga that put the shotgun through Kelly Meeker's body, and I believe when he steps back, you can kind of see that it almost looks like the eyes of the Myers mask still needed to be cut out. They look a little smaller than what we got earlier in the film. But because the mask was treated elsewhere, it was white, darker hair, sideburns, removed. It works better. You forgive it more. You're like, okay, well, whatever. But that pink mask, oh my God, it's brutal. It's brutal. This should be. Oh yeah, no. That's right. Sorry, I was looking at. Thought it suddenly went in a different direction there, but no, we're good. Let me see here. Let me see. Trying to find somebody I don't recognize or haven't got. Well, here's one. Wayne Downey says, do you think you'll watch Chris Stuckman's movie Shelby Oaks when it comes out? Yeah, I'd love to check it out. I'm very curious to see how he does and what the movie is like. Yeah, for sure. I guess that'll be, well, they're in post-production now, so either later this year or maybe next year. I don't know. Do they have a distributor yet? Is it going online behind a paywall, or is it going to be on Prime or something? Not sure. Guitarist Dog 87. I don't think I've seen you in here before. Dave, if you had to say an H4 regarding the mask issue, Michael would have picked up a Kirk mask at Vincent's and modified it himself, just like how Tommy Lee Wallace did in the original. No, not necessarily. I think I would have had the mask already looking like that, because it would have. Obviously, it can't be the same mask because that burned in the fire. But I think the mask, for me, would have already looked like that, because when he picks up the mask at the drugstore or at the hardware store in Halloween 1978, we don't see Michael making it look like that. We're left to assume that that's how it looked on the rack. Michael broke into the hardware store. He took, a couple of knives, some rope, and a Halloween mask. Well, I'm assuming that's just what the mask looked like, right? Because it's not supposed to be a it was a William Shatner mask that they actually got, but in the movie itself, it's not supposed to be that Michael modified a William Shatner mask. That's not what it's supposed to be. It was just a white face mask that he saw. So that's what he took. So I just would have had it play the same way. When he reaches behind Jamie to pick up that mask, it would have just already looked like that. So Michael doesn't need to do any spray painting or modification whatsoever. But you are correct. I wish, and a lot of people do wish, that the mask looked more like the original than it does. But funny enough, I don't think it's the worst mask in the series, though. It's grown on me a little bit over the years, as crazy as that might sound. Okay, Wade Danielson sends in $4.99. Says, what's Michael's obsession with mechanics and taking their clothes? Well, I think it's just, I don't know. It's just easy to do. Well, let's be honest. The reason why they have him in a mechanic's outfit is because he looked pretty silly in, shorts, flip-flops, and a Hawaiian shirt. You know what I'm saying? It's clearly because it's it's uniform, right? And it's uniform, it's nondescript, it blends in. It just blends in, you know, and that's ultimately why Carpenter and Deborah Hill would have agreed to have him wear that in the first movie. I would imagine is because it's just nondescript. And and I guess he just enjoys it. He enjoys it. Maybe it's got a little flap. He can just, you know, and go for a pee. I don't know. That's probably his obsession somehow, somewhere. Let's see here. Stephen Smith says, would you be a fan of a Michael and Jason crossover movie? Stephen, I would not be a fan. I'm not a big crossover person. I'm not a big fan of movies that bleed universes. That doesn't mean they can't be fun and I can't watch them and appreciate them on their own merits. But I'm just not a big fan of combining universes. I just think, I don't know, it ruins it for me. I like to think that these things don't exist in the same universe. Like I never think that Freddy takes place in the same universe as Friday the 13th. I don't think that, even though, you know, canonically and you know, technically, I guess they do because you have Freddy versus Jason. But I don't like that movie at all. So I'm just not a big fan of crossover movies. I think it's because you can't do it without it being some sort of campy, cheesy shit. Like you just like the sheer idea of Jason and Freddy fighting each other is just a ball of cheese to me. So, you know, if you were to have Michael fighting Pinhead, I just don't know how you do that and take it seriously. And like, we're like, whoa, this is such a great movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the whole idea to me is just absurd. And I think the approach would have to be sort of tongue in cheek, like how Freddy versus Jason was. Like, how do you do that and make it serious? You know what I mean? I think that's probably why I don't like them too much. Brandon Taylor sends in $9.99, says, Dave, you are the best. Well, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. Why aren't they utilizing the character of Lindsay more in Ends? Rumored she has one scene. Also, in your opinion, do you think there is still a chance of Nev returning for Scream 7? Scream 7? Of course, yeah. If they pay her what she feels that she's worth. Now, I don't know what the offer was. I have no idea. You know, we are quick to assume that, you know, because of the climate we're in and because of the whole, you know, women's pay and all that kind of stuff, and we have no reason to believe that this is not true, but we don't know what the figures were. So we don't know if, in fact, the payment was pretty fair. You know, maybe they offered her $5 million. I'm not saying they did, but hypothetically, let's say they did. That's pretty good for a Scream. I'd be like, it's Scream and our budget's only like 30 mil, we're offering you 5 mil, you're in like 5 scenes. I mean, that probably, she might have, now it's kind of like, maybe she should have taken it. But maybe they offered her like 900,000 or 1.2 million and she's in a lot of the movie. Then it would have been like, I don't know. That's a little low. I don't think so. So it all depends on what they offered her. We're left to assume that it was really low, or she would have been in the movie. And maybe it was. I don't know. Nev Campbell, never met her. Don't know what kind of person she is. Don't know if she's a stickler or if she was being unreasonable. Was Nev Campbell being unreasonable? I don't know. We really don't know. Or was she being absolutely reasonable and being like, fuck that. I'm in like 75% of this movie and you're offering me $1 million? No. And I would totally be on her side. You know, now obviously I've never been offered $1 million for a voiceover gig, but I have in my voiceover career signed a lot of voiceover contracts and been in a lot of negotiations with my agent. And there is, any actor will tell you, there's always those situations that come up where, you know, you find yourself in a situation where you're like, no, I'm worth more than that. Based on my level of experience, based on, you know, a number of factors. You're offering me this. No, I want this. And there have been a few times in my life where my agent has said, this is what they're offering. And I have said, no. I've said, no, this is what I will do it for. They've gone back to them, and then they've come back and said they're not going to do it. And I go, well, then I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. If I was just starting out and I was new to the voiceover world, well, then yeah, I probably would have taken it, right? Because I haven't developed a career with a track record of success, doing all sorts of commercials and trailers and promos and all that kind of stuff, right? I have a portfolio that proves that I'm very experienced and that I've gotten to a certain part in my career, as a lot of actors get to, right? Where you get to a career and go, no, this, that kind of stuff, right? No, I want this, or maybe you demand this, or, whatever the case is. Nev Campbell being the face of Scream, right? Being the face of Scream, being the Laurie Strode of the franchise, I would assume that, yeah, they probably lowballed her, and she said no. And again, I don't know because we don't know what the offer was, but let's just take it at face value at the moment because we don't know the other side of the coin. She was lowballed and she said no. So good on her. Again, I've never been in a situation where somebody's offered me $1 million, but certainly I've been in lots of situations where I feel that I have been lowballed and I've had to say no. And sometimes I don't think they think you're going to say no, but I do. And I'm in a position now where I can do that, right? If I was first starting out, you take everything and anything because you want the experience, right? But yeah, so I support her 100%. So to answer your question, if they want her in Scream 7, then they're going to have to pay her what she's worth. They're going to have to pay her what she wants. And maybe it was a certain amount and a back end deal. Maybe it was a certain amount and a certain percentage of the box office too. That could have been possible too. And maybe they weren't willing to do that. Maybe the actual base salary was fine, but the percentage of the box office was not what she wanted. And they weren't willing to accommodate that at all. I don't know. It's hard to say, but if they pay her, yes, I think she'll be in Scream 7. I don't think she dislikes the franchise or hates the character, but this is show business, man. You got to pay up, baby. You got to pay up. She's worth it. She's Nev Campbell, man. She's Sidney Prescott. Pay her what she's worth. That's what I have to say on that. Now, that's going based on one side of the coin, of course. And then the other part of your question is, Lindsay, yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Lindsay being in just one scene. Maybe she is. She wasn't in the teaser trailer. But that doesn't mean she's not in the movie, or not in the movie heavily, or prominently, I should say. I don't really know. It's a really good question. I just hope that they don't, if it is just one scene, why? Why? And is that one scene her death scene? Why? Why? Quite frankly, I would just, if it is just one scene, then just why is she in the movie? I don't get it. But maybe we'll find out. Maybe it is just one scene, but it's one hell of a one scene. And wow, who knows? I don't know. But yeah, I don't really know too much about it yet because we haven't really heard or seen much in regards to Lindsay. Andrew Stevens sends in $5, says, for Frank the Tank Riker, for the sexy diehard Halloween fans in the chat. Well, thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it's we're over 2 hours. Wow, we've gone over 2 hours, ladies and gentlemen. 2 hours. Holy snapping crap. 2 hours. Let's, you guys want to go a little longer? Maybe just a little bit? Maybe I can go a little bit longer. Just looking at it. Okay. It's just an email I have to attend to. All right. I'll go a little bit longer. Scott says, Dave, aside from the main Halloween theme, what's your favorite Halloween track? Mine's Laurie's theme. Ooh, Laurie's theme is really good. Yeah, Laurie's theme's up there for me. I love the Shape Stocks. I also love on the original Halloween soundtrack. There's it's called The Myers House. It's that one that goes down 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 down. I like that one too. That's really good. That's good. But I'd probably go with The Shaped Stocks maybe. Laurie's theme's good too, man. They're all good. They're all good. I can't choose, like choosing your children. I have no children. Michael Myers is in the chat. Says, Dave, would you do a Two Dudes on Space or reacting to videos on supposed UFO sightings? Maybe, yeah. I'd have to talk to Tony about that and see what he thinks. I know we have another paranormal episode coming up soon. So, yeah, maybe. I don't know if Tony is fascinated by that stuff. I'm not too sure, but I'll talk to him and we'll see. I wouldn't be against it. And David Lee Barron sends in $1.99, says, where did Holy Snappin' Crap come from? Holy Snappin' Crap, there was a comedian, I forget his name, you could probably Google it. I believe it was at the Just for Laughs festival here in Canada in Montreal. I've never attended it, but I saw it on TV, and it was a comedian who, he might have been a Canadian comedian because it was at the expense of the differences between our two countries. And he was doing a joke where he said, he basically said, you know, obviously, and I'm paraphrasing the joke. I can't tell the joke, but this was essentially the joke, was that in Canada, obviously, we go by Celsius, and in the States, you go by Fahrenheit. So if you're looking at a weather map close to the border, like let's say you live in Buffalo or somewhere that's close to the border, sometimes you will see the meteorologists will be doing the weather in your area, but because you're so close to the border, they'll also have the temperatures for, was it something like that? They'll have the temperatures for Toronto or Ottawa, whatever. Or maybe they do have them in Fahrenheit. Maybe they do have them. Maybe I'm getting the joke mixed up. Anyways, it was a joke about the different, I'm probably butchering this. It was a joke about the differences because we go by Celsius, you go by Fahrenheit. And anybody who crosses the border, you know, or looks at a map, a weather map, they would see, holy shit, it's 85 in Buffalo, but it's like 24 in Toronto, when really that's like 85, right? And the joke was, he made some joke where he's like, holy snapping crap, can you believe that or something? And he just said, holy snapping crap. And I just thought it was funny. I just thought it was a funny sort of line. So I've used it ever since. I cannot take credit for it. Certainly I don't go around telling that joke, but the holy snapping crap, I just thought was kind of funny. So that's where it comes from. That's where it comes from. Yeah, holy snapping crap. I think he goes, holy snapping crap, Lou, look. You know, look at the temperature in Toronto. It's whatever it is. You could probably find it on YouTube. And it's old now. It's like might even be over 20 years old. I'm not sure. John Dez sends in $4.99, says, how about for a new imagining of Halloween, Michael wears a flannel with the sleeves rolled up slightly, jeans, cool mask, and maybe some tats. Yeah, why not? Do it up. Maybe he drives a Harley. He drives a Harley and he's got a helmet. So he's got the Michael Myers mask on, but he's got a Harley. He's got like a motorcycle helmet on as well. Maybe that's what he does. Can you imagine? Be hilarious. Let's see here. Oliver Mercer says, what are your thoughts regarding the Flash film? You mean the whole like Ezra Miller situation? I don't know. I'd be shocked if he remains the Flash, but I wouldn't be shocked if he remains the Flash. This is show business. You know, it's very forgiving. People, you know, it's very forgiving. So I don't know. I don't really have a thought on it really, Oliver, because I'm not emotionally invested into the universe. But speaking about it just from sort of a business side, I think he's a fucking idiot. Like I don't know the guy, obviously, but I mean, yeah, he's got major issues, and he's obviously got major issues that need to be attended to. And So, and by all accounts, it looks like he is, and good on him. Good on him. Good on him. You know, if he's serious about it. But we'll see. We'll see. That's really all. Yeah, I just think he's a tool. I mean, why, you know, all the things he's doing and choking people, and it's just like, dude, he's just one of those people that needs to just be punched in the head. Like somebody needs to punch him in the face. You know, like he's just one of those, I don't know, for whatever reason, he just seems like it just seems like a dick, which is unfortunate because I think he's a really good actor. But he's clearly got a lot of issues, and I hope he slays them. I hope he slays the dragon. I do. Like, I sincerely do, but I don't really have too many thoughts on it beyond that. You know, The Flash is not a movie I don't really know much about it. I don't really know who's in it. So, you know, but I do know that, yeah, they obviously have some major issues with marketing and press junkets and all that kind of stuff. But the movie's still a year away. What is it, June, July, or something like that of next year? A lot can happen between now and then. That's basically a year away, like for all intents and purposes. A lot can happen. I mean, Jesus Christ, in between now and next fucking May, Ezra Miller could go to rehab, redeem himself, fucking send out apologies. He could fucking shoot another 2 movies in that time. You know, he could fucking completely redeem himself in between now and when the movie comes out. To the point where he's doing press junkets, he's fucking promoting the movie, they've signed him on for Flash 2. Like, it seems like that is a completely off the table right now, and right now it is. But it wouldn't surprise me if next May it's a reality. Now, it wouldn't surprise me at all. It's Hollywood. It's Hollywood. John Dez, $1.99 says, were you ever a fan of Sleepaway Camp? Yeah, I like it. I like the first one. Yeah, I don't mind it. I'm not like a big fan, but I enjoy it. Thought it was all right. Oliver Mercer, £5 says, hey, Dave, what are your thoughts regarding the Flash film? Oh, I already read it. I got you, man. I got your non-super chat one. Are you still excited to see it next June? Again, am I still excited? I was never excited before. I know what you mean, though. I'm just kidding you. Again, when it comes to superhero films, I couldn't care less. I want people to understand that that's not me saying I don't like superhero movies or I think they're garbage or I'm too good for No, that's not what I mean at all. It's just, once again, I've said it before, but it bears repeating here because it's valid. I just never grew up with them. I never grew up reading comics. I never grew up caring about them or anything like that. Obviously, your staples like your Superman or your Batman or your Spider-Man, obviously I'm always going to be interested in watching a Batman movie or a Superman movie because they cross the threshold of they're on another level. You know what I mean? They are the big titans of that kind of stuff, right? But when it comes to the superhero genre, which is what it is now, like the MCU, I've only seen like 3 or 4 movies of the MCU. That's not because I don't think I'm going to like them. I just don't have the interest, like how you out there may not be a Star Wars fan. It doesn't mean that you think you're going to hate. You just don't have the interest. You didn't grow up with it. You just don't care. It's that kind of thing for me when it comes to like, all these like Flash and Daredevil and Black Adam. I didn't even know who Black Adam was until I fucking saw a trailer for it like a couple of months ago. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea. Like I'm not invested. So The Flash, I'm happy for everybody who's excited about it, but is it something that I would rush out to see in the movie theater? No, I'll probably, it's a movie I would catch on Netflix on a Sunday afternoon when I'm perusing for something to watch, right? It's how I watched Spider-Man Homecoming. I saw that on Netflix. I was under the weather. I like Spider-Man. I was like, I'll check it out now. And I watched it. I really liked it. I thought it was good, but I haven't seen the other 2 yet, so yeah. But I will say that, And I sincerely mean this. I am really excited for everybody who's excited, because I know there's a lot of people that are really excited. And I know I can get excited about certain movies and certain properties and stuff like that other people may not be as excited about. So certainly for everybody out there who is excited for the Flash movie, rock on, man. Let me see here. Mama. Cody Leach, my man. I didn't even see Cody Leach roll on in here. He's one of my honorary mods. He rolls on and he says, have you watched Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul? Comment block for not being a Halloween. I love it. No, that's another thing. I have not watched Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. Now those are two shows, especially Breaking Bad. That's a show that I just never got around to watching. When it was really hot, like I'm really late on that. I just never got around to watching it. And I only got into watching House of Cards, which is a great show, because of my girlfriend. She was the one that got me into that. And that was great. It's too bad. I mean, I'm very thankful that obviously Kevin Spacey was fired and appropriately reprimanded, of course. But it's too bad because he's a brilliant actor, and his role on that show was so good that the last season of House of Cards was, I mean, it was fine. It was fine, but it was missing that, you know what I mean? So it was too bad. But no, Breaking Bad, I have not seen. Of course, Better Call Saul, to my understanding, is a sequel to like a spinoff or a sequel to Breaking Bad, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm mistaken. But it's connected somehow, if I'm not mistaken. But I know you, Cody, because I see your thumbnails pop up. I know you are a big fan because you do a lot of the reviews, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I got it. But it's like I've never seen an episode of The Walking Dead either. I know. People are like, what? Like, people are losing their minds. Great to see you in here, Cody. Great to see you in here. We gotta hook up soon. We gotta do something, you and I. We gotta do something. Maybe we'll just spend 2 hours ranting. People would tune in. Frank Riker, my man, sends in $5. Says, Dave, do you think Michael is aware of how strong he is? Thanks, Andrew Stevens. That's a very good question. I don't know. I would say probably, you know, I mean, he's, I don't know if he thinks about it consciously. I like to think of it more as it's instinctual, like how a lion knows it's, you know, it's more of that instinct, knows depending on the situation, what they can and they can't do instinctually. So I would say, I'd say he probably does. He probably does. All right, we'll take this thing to 2.5 hours. So that means another 8 minutes. 8 minutes. 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Cody says, say the word. I'm there with bells on. Yes, bells. Bells. I want all kinds of bells. I want little bells and big bells and bells that they ding 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 ding. You know those bells that, you know, when you go into like a fucking convenience store, like, ding 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 ding. I want those, the bells, and layered with bells. Every time you move, you shift. Ding 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 ding. That'd be funny. That would be really funny. What do we got? Let me see here. Man, 2.5 hours. I'm going to take a nap after this show. Jeff Moore sends in $5. Says, Jamie Lee and John Carpenter need to give Danielle Harris the respect she deserves. Damn it. Really? Do you think so? I mean, it's kind of like bygones be bygones, old news. They sort of retconned that a bit by giving, I mean, has her issue been, I mean, does John Carpenter and Jamie Lee have an issue with Danielle Harris? John Carpenter and Jamie Lee weren't even a part of Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. They had nothing to do with Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. So they had nothing to do with not bringing her on board. So, yeah, I don't think Jamie Lee and John, I mean, unless there's some sort of feud I don't know about, I don't think Jamie Lee Curtis and John Carpenter owe Danielle Harris fuck all. And as far as I know, I think Malika Akkad and Danielle I think they're okay now. I don't really know. I mean, she was hired to play Annie Brackett in Rob Zombie's 2 Halloween movies, so that was a very nice thing to do. So yeah, I think she's made. Now, do I think Danielle Harris would come back and reprise her role as Jamie Lloyd in a Halloween movie? Fuck yes. I think she'd do it like that. And why would she do it like that? Because that's what she's most known for. And I think she would do that in a heartbeat. For sure. Absolutely, I would. If her career had gone off and she'd become this A-list talent, do I think she would do it? Maybe. I don't know. But now, in her point in her career and what she's doing and the movie she's doing, yes. And if the money was right, she'd be there like that. But do I think they're ever going to do that? Probably not. And do I think that John Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis owe her something? No, I don't think so. Unless there's some sort of feud I don't know about. Did John say, fuck that Danielle Harris, that goddamn bitch? Well, then maybe, yeah, I don't know. But as far as I know, I don't even think John knows who Danielle is. I mean, he might know. Have they ever met? I don't know. Not sure. David Lee Barron sends in $4.99, says, is Malignant underrated? Is it a trash movie? Can you take moviegoers seriously when they say they walked out of the theater on a movie? Depends on the movie. I quite liked Malignant a lot. I do understand that it's an acquired taste. I do understand that it's sort of one genre and then it morphs into this kind of this other mix. It's a supernatural sort of, kind of ghostly movie at first. And then it becomes kind of like this John Wick action supernatural. I totally get why people, it was not what they were expecting, especially when you understand who James Wan is. You look at his track record, Saw, you look at the 2 Insidious movies, the 2 Conjuring films. This and the first half of Malignant was playing out very much like what you would expect from a James Wan horror movie. And then the second half is like, whoa, didn't see that coming. But I actually kind of liked it. Bruce, because I saw it with him, he was less favorable. He didn't hate it, but he was like, meh. Like he probably couldn't care less if he ever watched it again. Me, I was a little more favorable on it. So do I think it's underrated? I'd have to watch it again because I've only seen it once, saw it in the theater. I'd have to watch it again to assess whether I feel this is underrated or appropriately rated in terms of being, it's a mixed bag. I'm not sure yet, but I quite enjoyed it. Mike Malloy sends in $5. That's how I'm going to say your last name from now on. It says, hey, Dave. Today, last year, the first track from Kills was released. Do you think a track from the End soundtrack is due soon? Have you heard anything? I have not heard anything. Keep in mind, folks, one of the biggest misconceptions is that because a studio does one thing on one date, that automatically means they're going to do it the very next year on that date as well. That doesn't mean that at all. Sometimes it can work out that way, but that doesn't mean that at all. So, no, I think there's a good chance that because this film has been largely kept close to the vest, it's been very secretive by and large. Obviously, we know a little bit more now because of some of the test screenings and because of the the teaser trailer and the synopsis. But because those track listings are largely going to probably reveal some spoilers about the movie, I don't think you're going to see it now. I maybe, but it's August the 17th, nothing today. Maybe not till September, maybe not till the beginning of October. Who knows? I have no idea. But yeah, don't always remember that just because something was released on a specific date doesn't automatically mean they're going to there's a variety of reasons why studios release trailers on certain dates at certain times, posters on certain days. It's not because it just worked the year. Well, hey, it worked the year before. Yeah, but there's also, they're paying attention to what other trailers are being released, what other studios are doing. They're looking at the patterns. Hey, it made sense to release it on this date last year, but it doesn't make sense to release it on this date this year. There's many reasons so just keep that in mind. It doesn't automatically mean that, especially for a soundtrack release, right? Antonis Andriotis. Am I saying that right? Antonis Andriotis. If I'm not saying it right, I kind of like the sound of that though. Antonis Andriotis. I kind of like that sound. Sends in $14. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate that. Says, hey, Dave, would you agree that Rob Zombie's Halloween movies have some of the most brutal kills in the entire franchise? When do you think we will get an Indiana Jones trailer? I would agree. Yes, I would agree that I think the kills in Rob Zombie's both Halloween films have some brutal, violent, intense kills. I would agree with that. And when do I think we'd get an Indiana Jones teaser? You might get a teaser maybe this Christmas. You might get a teaser this Christmas, maybe attached to Avatar. Maybe. If not, early next year. Sometime, maybe next spring or something. March. I don't know. Not sure. I don't think you're going to get anything. At the very earliest you could see something would be this December, I think. The Christmas season, right? I think we might see something there. Maybe a poster. Well, no. Not a poster. I don't think you'll get a poster then. Maybe a teaser. But I think that's the earliest you would see it. Yeah. I wouldn't expect anything between now and then. John Dez sends in $1.99, says, Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 or 2, which you prefer and why? I prefer Halloween 1 because it's, even though I don't like the creative choices that Rob Zombie made, and I don't like the movie overall, I do like it better than 2. I think Malcolm McDowell is better in it as Loomis. I just think it's 2 is just it's going in a completely different direction. Whereas 1 at least still has a little bit of that Halloween vibe to it. And then Jeff Moore sends in $2, says, McBride said H Kills and H Ends was going to be one film. I don't know if it was going to be one film. From what I remember, they were going to shoot it back to back. My understanding is that 18 Kills and Ends was all going to be one night. That I know. Kills and Ends being one lot. I think that's maybe what you mean. I mean, in order for Kills and Ends to be one movie, it would be like a 4-hour film. That I don't think, that was not going to happen. But Kills and Ends were going to happen on the same night. That was true. And then COVID hit and they changed that up. And then Chris M sends in $2, says, how the heck you get onto the roof in your thumbnail? Well, it's called Photoshop, Chris. I am not actually sitting on the roof in the thumbnail. I assume you're just making a joke, but you never know. Maybe some people out there really do think I'm actually sitting on the roof. I should have just said, I climbed up there, dude. I literally climbed up there, and that's what I did. All right, folks, listen, that is going to do it for me here on this Wednesday Q&A. It was great to check in with you guys and see how you are doing. David Lee Barron comes hard into the paint. $1.99 says 45 years since the king has passed. Rest in peace, Elvis Aaron Presley. Yes, yesterday, August the 16th, 45 years since Elvis Presley passed away. I was watching quite a few Elvis videos yesterday, actually. Hard to believe, 45 years. He'd be like 87. I think he'd be 87 years old if he were alive today. But anyway, yeah, thank you to my great moderators, of course, Frank Riker, Tabitha Shore, Darren Sands, Chris Baber. Thank you for doing what you guys do. An honorary moderator, Cody Leach, that made an appearance today. He's like a tiger or a panther in the wild. You don't usually see the ever elusive Cody Leach, but then he makes an appearance. Oh my God, there it is. Great to see you in here, buddy. Don't worry, we're going to fucking do something. We're going to do something. Those bells, we're going to get all those bells on. And thank you to all the Super Chat questions that came in today. And of course, the few non-Super Chat ones I was able to get to, but another busy chat room today. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. Stay safe out there. And I will, Tiger Blood. That's right. Tiger Blood, baby. Tiger Blood. I will talk to you soon. When will I be back? Well, I may have another video, a standalone video come up on my channel. There's 2 dudes next Monday, but we'll see. The week is still early. All right, folks, have a great rest of your week, and I will talk. Oh, by the way, if you want to follow me on social media, you can. There are my links: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. All my links are in the description. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. That's going to do it for me. In the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you all soon. Cheers.